What's up, everybody? We are back for another episode of Friday Night Shenanigans, but this is a very special episode to us and especially to our good friend Rob. Rob, why are you so pumped up tonight?
Because my living legend, my hero, my idol, Denny Brauerer is going to be joining us tonight in a few minutes, and I am so pumped. You may not even want to let me talk because I'm like a kid at Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited that Denny is joining us tonight.
I think we have all had the jitters knowing that Denny is coming on tonight, and I got the jitters. Rob has been. I think Rob did a couple laps around his neighborhood earlier before he came over.
My wife's been telling me all day, like, calm down. I'm like,
Oh, Mr. Snails. What's up, Snails?
What's up, Mr. Snails?
Jason.
What's going on, Jason?
All the boys in the house. How's everybody
Mr.
doing
Sanders?
tonight? Thank you guys for joining us.
Pete? Appreciate you guys stopping by.
Yeah,
Small Creek Pete and with Snails Wheeler.
Right?
Snails Wheeler. You know what? That's a name right there.
Snails Wheeler.
You want to name your dog?
Hawaiian
I'll
bird.
name my kid Snails Phipps.
So
The
I think,
Hawaiian bird
Snails
king.
Wheeler Phipps.
Yeah. What's up, Snails?
so let's
Decent.
Jason in the house.
let's get
Dan.
before we
What's up,
get
Dan?
way too jittery and excited. I think we need to tell
What's up,
everybody
Rob?
how legit Denny Brauerer is at bass fishing. Like
What do you want to know? Because I could probably answer all his questions.
this guy has pretty much done it all in terms of bass fishing.
So it's hard. I will say
Oh,
that
the box is way up there. But
just getting some info, about him. MLF/FLW, their websites are really hard to pull information off of now because it's just a pain. But 17 Bassmaster wins, Bassmaster Classic winner, and $2.5 million in winnings on Bassmaster alone. That's not counting FLW.
hey, what's up, Marette?
That's quite a purse.
My wife says,
What's up, Chad?
Hey, also,
Hi.
Angler of the Year,
Yep.
Bassmasters, Angler of the Year, and FLW. I believe he fished some MLF too. I mean, you name it, he's done it. He didn't invent flipping. D. Thomas invented flipping, but Denny, in my opinion, made it great.
He's
Perfected
definitely,
it.
definitely
Perfected
one of the great flippers. But not. I mean, he can do more than just flip. When I was looking that up, I happened to see that he won an Elite Series on the St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you guys know I like smallmouth, so I'm already giddy with that.
I know.
And I'm curious I'm curious about that tournament and whether he won it on largemouth or smallmouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you when I first got into bass fishing, probably 3 or 4 years ago, well, a little bit longer than that now, but when I was first trying to learn techniques and I would go on YouTube and look up stuff, if whatever technique I wanted to learn, Denny Brauerer came before it, right? If it was swim jig, I would type in Denny Brauerer swim jig.
Right.
If it was buzzbait, Denny Brauerer buzzbait. It was something about the way that he fishes and the way that he explained fishing that just always resonated with me. And I try to do a lot of the things that he does in those old Wired to Fish videos. We were watching some of them last night, and like me and him are just sitting there like girls before prom. Like I cannot believe this dude's about to be on our show
Yeah,
tomorrow.
like that was crazy.
So super awesome stuff.
I couldn't sleep last night for real.
But
I was at work. I didn't do no work today. Just like, can't wait. It's almost time.
I mean, I didn't really do any work today.
I'm pretty sure I annoyed the shit out of the guy that I work with.
Yeah.
I was just like, he's like, hand me that screwdriver, and I was, huh?
So, but if you guys
1998 Bassmaster Classic.
right, right.
Where was that classic?
Oh,
that's a good
High
question.
Rock Lake, I believe. High Rock.
I'll tell you. I
North
still haven't pulled
Carolina?
up.
No, it wasn't North Carolina. I think it was called High Rock Lake. I was
was
looking into it
some-
last night as well.
It was Greensboro, so that sounds like it would be on High Rock. Yes, you were correct.
Is that North Carolina?
Yes, Greensboro, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Very awesome.
For some reason, I was thinking Greensboro was Hartwell,
Mm,
but they may be close together.
True.
Now, what is that? It's a big lake.
It's a lake.
I wonder if it's spotted bass, maybe. I guess we'll hear all about it. But for y'all watching, welcome. We're happy that you're stoked with us. We're happy that you're here. When Mr. Brauer comes on, please, when we get to the questions, start asking them. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can. Ask us whatever you want to ask, and you may, if you're lucky, and if we get to it, we're going to try to get to everything. We will get to ask the legend himself your questions, and hopefully, get you the answers that you want.
Look at Clark Wendland. Look, Clark Wendland.
Yeah, I
You
believe
want to find it on the screen so we can share it?
I believe I was. So he's won on tidal water before too. He's won on the Potomac before, and I know for a fact that at one point after fishing St. John's River, no, it was St. John's. Either way, fishing the tidal water river had him so down that he was ready to quit. And then he went back and he studied tidal water, and then he came back and he won on tidal water, and he won on the Potomac.
So
not being a tidal water guy.
We're gonna pull something up here real quick.
Well, look, we're pulling up the stats from the 1998 Classic that Denny won.
He's ready to join, by the way, Chad, if you want to.
I just want to show you from his Classic win. Can you share that screen, Chad? Just look at this top 10 or top 11 that's on the screen.
Look at number 3, dude.
That's pretty cool.
Number 3 is your boy, dude.
So look at this top 10. I mean, it's names that we know. I mean, you have Denny Brauer, George Cocker, Randy Blackett, Rick Clunn, Tommy Biffle, Randy Rowan,
Gerald Swindle, Kevin Van Dam,
Zell Rowland, Clark Wendland, Gerald Swindle, Van Dam.
Yeah. Stanley Mitchell, too, who's won a Classic before.
Let's go down just a little farther. Let's see. Skeet Reese, Mark Davis, Rick Morris,
Alton
Jones,
Davey Height,
Chad Brower,
Davey Height, who's
known for Chad is
Dion Hibden.
Yes, yeah. And Davey Height, who has put a smack on some fish in our local hole in the 2015
in the
Elite
GP.
Series.
In the GP, we know where he was at.
Yeah.
Right.
Those humps are the Davey Height humps. That's what I call them.
That's funny.
I ain't gonna say no more about them, but that's what I call them.
But we're gonna get into all of it. We're really excited.
He's ready. Denny's.
He's calling in right now.
All
Let's
right.
do it. Let's do it.
Hey, Denny, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You guys?
Doing pretty good. We're excited.
Very, very excited. Rob?
No, we didn't want
Oh, you want me?
No,
I
no,
thought Rob was going to say something.
Put it on me. First of all, Denny, we are very honored, and we very much appreciate you taking the time out to join us tonight. You are actually, and they make fun of me, one of my heroes. You are my idol. So, thank you very so much for joining us tonight. Now, I know that you have won a lot of tournaments with different techniques, but I gotta ask about flipping, dude, because I'm just a flipper, right? And Denny Brauer is a flipper. So the first question I have for you would be: when do you decide to flip a jig or a soft plastic?
I really don't. I kind of let the fish decide, but just to kind of give you a seasonal break, times when the water's real cold and the fish really start to move, for say 50 degrees, I'll start with a jig and I'll flip it as my primary on. And when the spawn starts to take place, I'll usually switch to soft plastics, DB crawl or a flipping tube or something like that, and give them a little more subtle approach. I can't tell you how many times I've gone down a stretch with one bait and come back through it with the other, multiple fish that, we're almost conditioned to the first baits. So either, but I'm going to give them multiple choice. If I'm in a flipping game, I'm probably going to ride on.
So, go ahead.
So that leads me into, my next question is that if you're trying to break down a lake or new body of water, how do you determine whether you're going to start flipping or maybe you're going to throw a spinner bait or crankbait? What do you look for when you first get to that lake to determine whether you're going to get on that flipping bite or you're going to be on a moving bait bite? How do you break that down?
And it's a hard question to answer, but you really start with the seasons. If it's winter time or summertime, you're going to be dealing with definitely the majority of the fishery on most bodies of water. If it's spring and fall, you're going to have quite a few fish coming shallow into spring to spawn. They're coming shallow into fall, feeding up on bait. Analyze what should the fish be doing, and then really look at the lake itself. Is it right? If you're dealing with falling water and there's not much cover in the water, it's probably not going to be if it's rising and you've got a lot of targets in the water, those fish are going to move up. And if the lake's real clear, there probably won't be as many opportunities for those dirty. So you've got a lot of different things you can analyze going in to help you make that.
That's really interesting.
So Denny, you mentioned flipping a tube, which is a technique that not a lot of people do anymore. And I know you won a classic flipping a tube. Do you still flip a tube now that there's so many, different creature baits and all this other stuff out now? Is a tube still a go-to for you?
It really is. I think it's the ultimate finesse flipping bait. So many other options. We got the rage crawls, the rage bugs. It goes on and on. So I think since we got so many options, a lot of people use them options rather than, because of its hollow nature, it takes really a different style hook to rig it properly. But days ago, fishing, I didn't even have a tube in the boat for that trip, and a bear and a mouth on a black and blue tube. So they still like it real well.
Yeah. I don't really like to tell people that, but we got Denny Brauer on here. So
the black and blue tube.
Yeah, not a lot of people flip a tube around here anymore.
No, that is definitely not something that's very.
I do.
In the area.
I got worms, but I like to flip a tube. So, Denny, you didn't get started into professional bass fishing until later in life. I believe it was when you were 33 years old, correct?
Yeah, it was late. Bricklayer for a lot of years. Had my own little construction company for a while, and just kind of into the sport of bass fishing. It kind of happened by accident, I guess. I went major tournaments and had some success, and was in the right place at the right time. And before I knew it, I was doing it full time.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
Because I'm 49, and I'm like, my time is past.
It's like, no, you got to keep on going with the Thursday nighters. It's gonna happen.
I can win a Thursday nighter, but I don't know about
nighters.
Professional fishing. If you had advice for, well, nowadays it's a lot different, of course. But if you had any advice, what would be your best advice for someone trying to get into professional bass fishing?
All the knowledge you can. I know back when I started, the guys that were the most successful, spent the most time on the water. They, doubled as fishing guides. They understood different weather conditions, and they lived and breathed it day in and day out. So much the key. You can read all the information, look at all the, videos or whatever, and you can get a grasp on things, but until you get out there and sit yourself and get that self-confidence, confidence is the number one thing as far as one internal. Some guys naturally have it. Some guys will never have it. They just don't have that belief. But time on the water is a key to catching fish. It's a key to but a key to being successful in the sport is you also have to realize the sponsorship side, dealing with the fans, dealing with the media, getting out and at the sport, just not fishing.
Denny, we got a question we're dying to ask. We're based in Maryland, and in 1991, they had the Bassmaster Classic on the Chesapeake Bay. Did you fish the Classic in 91 here on the Bay?
I did.
What can you tell us about that? That's our home waters. So.
Yeah, it was kind of horrible experience.
Oh my God. Yeah, we understand.
Why does that seem like it's so common when all the professionals come through?
Let's see what Denny has to say about that.
I was going to weigh 20 pounds a day. I was, and I can't remember the name. Tell me that is regulated by the military. That you can only go in. What was the name?
Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
The military.
Exactly. Yeah. Found them in the back of that. That's when we had a pre-practice period, and then it went on. I mean, there were some really good fish. Had them pretty well wired back there, and then they had and I guess there's a huge sewer plant back there that flooded it out and screwed up all the water back. Went back there the first day of the tournament, and they didn't bite very good. And then they got confused on when they were going to let me back out of there, and I got trapped in there. And
yeah,
that
happens. That happens in there. I'm very familiar with that water there. I fish that a lot, and there's still some good fish in there.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. You know, it just one of them deals didn't turn out right.
It's funny. I can say on the Chesapeake Bay, I've caught more 5-pounders out of where you're talking about than any other place on the Upper Bay.
I caught some good fish. I think it's called North Arm or something. I fished that one day, and there were some good fish in there too. But I didn't find that magical spot. I'd put it that way.
I believe like a few months ago, I was watching you on Mercer, and tidal water had came up, and you were talking about how the first time you fished tidal water, it was not a good experience, and you were like ready to quit fishing, and you was like, I need to learn more. And then you went back and you did win, I believe, on the Potomac, one of our rivers. You won on tidal water. What would you say is the key to fishing tidal water? Because me personally, I say it's all about the tide, not technique, not bait. When the tide is right, they will bite, if you ask me. That's my opinion.
No, I think you're absolutely. The time I experienced it was on the James River, and I really knew what I needed to be doing when I needed to be doing it. And I know that's back when I never had a partner that had a clue either. So we had a disastrous event there. By going to tidal water, the pieces started to come together. It's probably the easiest water to fish once you figure it out. And I ended up having several outstanding events on when I first started my career. Man, I didn't even want to see tidal.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
I gotta grab grab that.
We
show Denny.
So
I am a personal owner of. I don't have the original one, but we do have this one here. Do you have this one?
There's 3 of them. You're lacking.
It's empty though. I think Denny ate all the weeds.
So with unfortunately for us, all we really have to fish around here is tidal water. And one of our viewers here just asked a question. They stick to like our electric reservoirs most of the time, and they don't get to fish tidal water much. But what's a good tip that you can give for somebody that's just getting into tidal water?
Well, on high tide, I'd go to the wood on low tide. It just seems like those fish are going to push up into the vegetation, whether it's pads or whether it's some type of eelgrass. They're going to be up in that. But once the tide starts to roll back out, any isolated out of that grass, they're going to stack up on those places, and it really gets pretty interesting. They're a couple hours each side of low tide are probably the best in my opinion, but these days actually on high tide, slow rolling the spinnerbait over flooded pads and that. So I don't really rule anything out, but there is always a lull in there they're dead that it seems to get real tough.
I would completely agree with everything you just said.
I prefer the low tide too. Outgoing tide, I would say, is the best because the fish do stack up when it's high tide and spread out. So
I definitely like an outgoing tide much more than an incoming tide,
Oh, yeah.
especially one that's already like high.
right.
When the fish just got way more areas to go.
It's weird. I don't know if Denny does this, but what I do is I'll start flipping. If it's not a flipping bite, then I throw a spinner bait.
That's the only two baits Rob fishes. So.
Unless they're hitting, I mean, I'll go in the grass and frog sometimes, but other than that, like around laydowns, I'm either flipping them. If they're not hitting a flipping bite, then I'll start throwing a spinner bait or a chatter bait and see if they're hitting that. Does that make sense to you, Denny? I don't know. I could just be retarded.
In fact, when I was fishing tidal water, we didn't have the vibrating jig. They do a great job now. But I can remember a tournament on the Potomac where we hit the flipping bite, and I had some laydowns that I was just sure had fish on them. And you'd end up taking 25, 30 casts parallel to them laydowns, and all of a sudden you'd get your arm broke by, I mean, some really good bass. But it took that long to agitate him into biting, but working wonders there.
Yeah, for sure. So another one of our viewers mentioned that if we know tidal water, you can fish better anywhere. How true do you think that is? Do you think tidal water, so somebody who has their experience growing up on tidal water is a little more successful going to other bodies of water, or what do you think about that?
I don't know if there's any major transition there. The only thing would really transcend is is a lake dropping or is a lake ride, knowledge of where to go. But now every body of water fish is different.
Yeah, I can actually say from my experience, my home body of water is on the upper Chesapeake, so I fish tidal water most of the time, but going to places, going to New York, fishing like Cayuga, the St. Lawrence, things like that, it almost hurt me because I was so used to fishing shallow. Because everything we fish is shallow, and it took me a little while to get used to that cleaner water where the fish are setting up a little bit deeper, and I feel like knowing tidal water was almost a hindrance to me a little bit when I started fishing other types of water.
It's a definite advantage going from one tidal body of water, but when you go to another type of system, you really got to clear your mind, and you really need to do on that lake or that particular river.
Yeah, and that's really what I had to do, and I was able to have a little bit of success doing that once I got that mindset out of my head and just cleared my mind and just listened to what the fish were doing. It really helped.
How you doing, Denny? I'm Tony. I'll start this off by saying I guess I'm the smallmouth guy in the room. Recently acquired. Wasn't always that way, but it's become that way in the last few years. My question for you, sir, is on lakes and river systems with largemouth and smallmouth, how do you decide which species to target in a tournament? And if you could, take us through your win on the St. Lawrence River. Was that a largemouth dominated tournament, or did you primarily focus on smallmouth, sir?
When we were fishing St. Lawrence, before it was dominated by largemouth, that's what it took to win a lot of the tournaments. And unless you got a big stringer of smallmouth was 13 pounds a day. So, 40 back then, but a largemouth predominantly dominated. And I never did a couple of tournaments on largemouth, but I always seemed to run out before it was over. Now with the goby population in there, you almost have to be a fool to fish the biggest smallmouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like those tournaments are dominated by smallmouth these days. I've only seen in one professional tournament anyone in the top 10 that was fishing for largemouth, and that was Brock Mosley a few years ago in the Elite Series, who ended up catching 18 to 20 pounds a day of largemouth, and was able wasn't close to winning, but was able to get in there and get himself a top 10 and and get some really good points for that tournament.
But it's a lot of forward faces sonar, which would bring me to my next question: is Denny, do you use forward facing sonar, and how do you feel about times are changing? Forward facing sonar is starting to dominate. What do you think about, and do you use it?
Well, I don't fish the major tournament circuits anymore. Obviously, I retired a few years for fun, and I do have the Mega Live on my boat, and I've really not so much using it to catch fish as we've got hydro, and I can scan out in front of the boat and see them isolated clumps of hydrilla, exactly where they're positioned, etc. You can see fish come up out of the hydrilla and go back down, so you know which clumps. It's a great learning tool. As far as how I feel about it in tournaments, I really don't. New product come on board over the years that have always changed the sport. So more change, I guess. But where does it go from here? I really don't know, and I don't have a dog in that fight right now.
So it sounds like you're using it more to, and this is something that our guest last week or earlier this week talked about, is using live scope more to eliminate dead water. And, seeing if you have fish on that, in the area that you're fishing and being able to see it rather than using it specifically to target individual fish.
It can drive you nuts targeting individual fish. It'll show you just how bad an angler you are. So
Denny,
I got a funny story, Denny. I just put live scope on my boat about a month ago and went down to Lake Anna in Virginia, and I was throwing an Alabama rig, and I didn't realize how many fish followed that Alabama rig you didn't catch. It was every cast for 35 minutes. I had one follow it and not eat it.
Chasing ghosts. But I got a quick question, because I'm a Humminbird guy and I'm on the fence. Mega Live or 360 for a shallow water
if you
fisherman?
had to, for shallow water fishing, say around in our area, if you had to choose just one to put on your boat, would you choose live imaging or would you choose 360?
Actually run both, and I'm very happy with both of them. Me personally, a lot more with a Mega Live as far as running my boat, scanning it around, seeing the cover. I can be more accurate with my cast. 360. A lot of guys are using both of them in conjunction. That's fine, but I do clutter it up. I still want to be able to fish a little bit clear, and so the height for me, I have no desire to really have anything else on there.
Yeah.
Yep.
The front of your boat starts to become real cluttered, and it becomes hard to decipher which screen you want to stare at. One of the other questions that I have written down here for a decent question: what is one of your biggest hardships on tour, and how did you deal with that?
Oh boy, there's always a lot of bumps along the road, so to speak. I had to deal with the back injuries that took me out of the game a little bit, and spinal fusions, things like that. Were probably there's always things that happen when you're a road warrior as far as break like that. You're going to have all kinds of horror stories if you go out and do it for 40 years. But they date all the way back to high school football is where it all started. But there's a lot of the other couple knee replacements and different things over the years. Continue to do what I did.
Yeah, 17 BASS wins.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
had
a long time,
Yeah,
long
that's
time fishing, and I don't think a lot of people realize just how hard fishing is on your body.
Oh yeah, the back strain and
running off water,
the hips and your
Yeah,
knees.
for
And,
sure.
Yeah.
oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, people might just look at it and think, well, you're just standing there. It's like, well, you're standing there for a really, really long time.
I got the craziest question in the world to ask Denny, but how many times have people asked you, do you eat those fish you catch? Because I hear that every day of my life.
It's crazy.
Yeah, trying to explain to somebody like, no, it's not about catching fish to eat. Like, I hear that every day at work. Whoever I talk to, I see you posting on Facebook all those fish you catch. You eat those, or what do you do? Like, have you heard that a lot in your life, Denny?
Do I what?
People ask you a lot that, do you eat those fish you catch?
Oh yeah, you get that a lot. You get a lot of crazy questions, but a lot of people just don't understand. When they go fishing to get some fish for a fish fry. So they don't understand release. I don't either when it comes to crappie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're talking
You love
about
me some
crappie,
crappie.
but somebody opens up a cooler and I see a 6-pound largemouth in there, my stomach's going to drop.
Yeah, but I get that all the time and trying to explain to somebody like, a fish for sport is kind of the way that I try to explain it to them. But it's like people think you're crazy. I'm sure when Denny, 33 years old, I'm gonna go be a professional fisherman, people were like, really? Like,
I like to call it it's like being addicted to hunting, but one of the reasons that I got into fishing in general was because I didn't like killing things. Personally, I like catching fish and being able to watch them swim away. It's hunting, it's stalking, and that's
And you can do it over and over
you
again.
just do it over and over again.
so I believe, Denny, you live in Texas now. Is that correct? Do you have snakeheads there?
No,
No.
they haven't made it down there.
Oh,
yet.
you haven't had to deal with the snakeheads yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
We've got the lakes in Texas, but we have not had the snakeheads as far as I know.
What part of Texas are you living in now?
West Texas,
West Texas.
Amistad. No border.
Near Amistad. Have you been out to OHIV yet?
Haven't been there for a couple of years.
Kind of crazy what's been going on out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
a lot of double digits getting caught out there on live scope after Ben Milliken put out that video.
Is that the best? Is that the best big bass body of water in the United States?
Probably. I would think right now. What do you think, Denny?
People are saying the headwaters too.
Cycles in, Ivy had been real low and it caught a bunch of water and flooded up, and they pulled off some good spawns. And I just think they're reaping the benefits of the perfect. And plus, with all the new knowledge out there, some guys have figured out how to catch fish that really weren't. It's a place that's got a lot of big ones. It's got a lot of cover. I think that's seeing double-digit fish like what are being caught almost daily there. So area
Seems like it.
So Denny, now with the newer technology coming out and things like that, it seems like there's a lot of younger guys doing really, really well on these pro tours. Do you think that that's just because the technology's gotten better? Do you think that it's just a difference in fishing, or what's your answer to that?
Oh, I think that a lot of them young guys really have new technology fast. I mean, they grew up on video games and that type of for them. So, yeah, they're very adept at certain styles of fishing. It's really no different than it's always been. It's all about scheduling. You get the right schedules and you leave that stuff at home and there'll be a different set of anglers. It's all about the conditions.
So with all this, we're talking about Ivy and all the live scoping. For somebody who is known as a flipper, do you think this opens opportunities for those shallow water anglers to be a little more successful in what they really like to do?
You're absolutely. It's really no different than I remember years ago on tour. when the Carolina rig got real got popular, and all of a sudden everybody moved offshore, and you had the banks basically. Now all everybody wants to do is stare at a screen, and won't even make a cast until. So that kind of opens up a lot of areas for different techniques. So it'll bite them sometimes, and other times it's going to bite the other guy. So it's just a tool. If you're going to play the game, there's a time and place for it. You wait till later in the year when the fisheries, everybody's going to be catching them on live scoping scenarios. So without that, you're probably not fishing for first place.
Everybody's going to have to eventually. Everybody's going to be running it, and everybody's just going to have to adapt and become
less
better.
people on the bank. Hey, Denny, so when you first started, was flipping actually a thing? Had D. Thomas invented it yet, or did that come later? Like, how did you get into flipping? Was it already being done when you started?
Bass Club tournaments, and when I first read about it was when D. Thomas came out on Bull Shoals, and so I had a buddy that built rods. I had him make us a couple of flips. We went out to the local lake and just started experimenting, flipping jigs around in bush long to figure out it was the deal.
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
I love flipping a jig.
And then the career took off.
Right. But so Denny, I have heard him say on other interviews before that a lot of tournaments that he has won has not been flipping, but he's known for flipping because he likes flipping or whatever. But he's won a lot of tournaments not flipping. But at the end of the day, the flipping bite is the best bite. If you ask me.
I don't know, Denny. I have a question for you, sir. Do you throw any big baits, big glide baits, anything like that, just for fun?
Yeah, I definitely do down here. And normally we have pretty clear water, and that's a perfect combination for the baits. And those can be very, very successful here and can get you a giant bite.
They are a fantastic tool to utilize in a lot of different environments around here. I like to utilize them up here a lot too, even in our stain waters. Even just to locate fish, just to find fish, to get those curious fish to follow and show themselves, even if they aren't eating. You can get fish to identify themselves, I feel like, with those baits and use them as a tool. However, experiencing the big bait bite down in a clear body water of Texas, that's still on my bucket list, but we'll make it happen.
Yeah, it's.
So, did you have any other?
I have a random question for you, Denny. And now I'm guessing it's Amistad since that's where you live close. But what's your favorite body of water in Texas?
Originally, I would have told you Sam Rayburn. The first two bass winning were on that particular lake, and I just fell in love with it because it was so big, and you could get away from the crowd and kind of find something all to yourself. So I loved that lake, and then we came to Amstead, I guess it was in 2000, and what I saw here was just unbelievable. And we kind of wanted a warmer to get out of Missouri, so I didn't really want to go to Florida because of all that stuff. So we decided to build a home down here and sold out in Missouri. And we were here full time. So.
That's awesome. I would say I got a chance to fish Rayburn last year. We were down at one Conroe for the TBF National Championship last year, and me and my buddy were like, you know what? While we're down here, Rayburn's only 2 hours away. Let's go check it out. You never know when you're going to get down there again. So
wait a minute.
Had a really good experience on Rayburn. Had a lot of fun down there.
The Chesapeake Bay is not your favorite body of water?
The Chesapeake Bay is definitely not my favorite body of water.
But we fish it every weekend.
My absolute favorite body of water is the St. Lawrence River.
That's up there for me too.
I'm a river guy, so like I want
Did
to
you
go like
fish the
St.
St. Lawrence?
John's and stuff like that.
So, Denny, my question for you. So, I want to go back to that 1998 Classic for just a second.
1991.
No.
No, 98.
Oh, the one he
98,
won.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
21. I'm
The
sorry.
most important.
Yeah, the good one.
So, was there a point in that tournament where you knew I have this one? I'm going to win this Classic, and it just clicked, or was it really down to the wire? Was it really down to that last guy weighing in? I mean, did you?
He had like 10 more pounds.
Well, I mean,
he did kind of blow it out.
Well,
46,
I'd been down
3?
in contention to win, and you can try. You can kind of tell a lot by your entourage. If it's getting smaller as the day goes on, that's not a good.
It ain't looking good. Yeah.
Got large before the day was over, so could be a really good outcome.
We were browsing through the we were browsing through that tournament just before you jumped on, and there were a lot of sticks in that field.
There's not one person in the top 10 that has a name you never heard of. They're all hammers. You got like Randy Blockett, Rick Clun, Tommy Biffle,
Randy Roaming,
like
KVD
everybody.
was down there, Swindle was in there.
Yeah.
That was a pretty star-studded field that you
Loaded
invested
field.
there.
Loaded field.
Yeah.
So I have another question for you, sir. And we've kind of talked about on this show a number of times sponsors and things like that. A few of us here are on pro staffs at some level. A number of the folks that we talk to and watch us all the time are on pro staffs. From somebody at your level who has been almost as successful as you can get professionally, what are some things that your sponsors expect from you? For us, it's almost like, hey, give us your email and here's 20% off. But obviously the stakes are a lot higher in your position.
I'm sure things have changed a little bit with social media. What they, a lot of posting, a lot of following. Where back when I started appearances, doing the boat shows, doing appearances at your local, whatever the case might be, working with the media, just trying to get the you could get. But ultimately, it starts with, hooking yourself up with a product you truly believe in, because you're not going to fake it with the public. They just trying to sell them, a story, or whether it's the real product. I've tried to do that my whole career, and I've been real lucky. I got hooked up with some great companies. With my career, Ranger, I've been with my whole career, Striking almost my whole. It's crazy how those associations can carry over, and I've been retired for several companies. So, align yourself with companies and realize that you got to give something back. You got to be putting something back in. You got to work at it. You got to give to make yourself, kind of indispensable, so to speak.
To make yourself a valuable source to Strike King.
Sure.
Well,
And I see
that products you believe in.
I see exactly what Denny's talking about the not getting through the public, especially with there's so many live cameras on tournaments and things, and you get somebody up on stage that says, "Oh, I caught him on this crankbait, and this crankbait's amazing," and then you go back and watch the live video and they're throwing a DT6. And so it kind of decreases their credibility when they do that. So it's like you said, it's important to have something that you truly believe in to support.
Hey, Denny, we're gonna wrap it up. We don't want to tie you up too long. We really do appreciate having you on. I got.
Did you have one more question?
I do. I
You
have
got
one
questions?
more. I think we can probably hit you with one or two more questions.
Yeah, I think I got another one.
My last question, and again, thanks again for coming on with us. But so for a number of reasons, bass fishing, in particular, bass boats have gotten extremely expensive to buy new. How do you feel that is impacting the sport? I mean, a lot of guys, like we interact with a lot of, working class guys that love to fish, and for them getting a brand new boat, it's just not realistic. Do you think that's ever going to change, or is that something, that you have an opinion on, or the floor is yours on that one, sir?
Boy, I hope I feel the pain of a lot of people. I remember when bass boats went to 20,000. I didn't think anybody'd pay 20,000 for a bass boat. I got my first Ranger back then, which didn't have a lot on it, but I had $5,800 in 1978, and now you're looking at $100 grand plus, 521R totally loaded, and I don't know what the total price tag on the, but it's a very, very expensive boat, and I hate that because some people, it's just how cool a ride that is. But that said, there are, you don't have to get the greatest and all that. I started out fishing tournaments out of a 12 trolling motor. The biggest thing is
How can you
They still
compete?
make fun of me for that, Denny. I'm still riding around with just a trolling motor.
How can you
working on
compete-
the outboard though? I'm working.
How
on
can
it.
you compete with other guys and or professionals that are out there with 3 12-inch screens on the front of their boat and all the latest technology? And
But-
don't get me wrong, you put the time in.
John Cox,
Putting time in is putting time in. But when those guys have just as much time in plus the electronics, I feel like you obviously have a little bit of a step there.
I got a last question for Denny, and it's good.
Like,
Will we ever see you come back to professional bass fishing, or you been there and done that, or maybe one day we might see they got legend exemptions and everything? Like, will we ever see Denny Brauer compete again?
you never say never, but when I retired, and there'd been a lot of injuries and a lot of pain. I always felt if I couldn't fish 100% and give myself a shot at winning, play the game. And it was so good to me for so many years. I didn't think the sport owed me any. I owed something back to it, and so I try to do a little of that now that I am retired. I doubt if I ever try to make any type of comeback. It just, I mean, I get to fish more now than I ever did, and I get to fish more.
Do you fish?
Question.
are you fishing? Are you still fishing tournaments, like local tournaments, or are you just mostly fun fishing?
Jump in a local now and then, and try to pick up a little change.
Yeah. They're like, oh crap, Denny Brauer's here. I'm going home.
It's like Duarte showing up at Ramp on a Thursday night.
Right. Yeah, we got a couple sticks that show up, and you're like, oh man.
It's like, man, I'm putting the boat back on the trailer.
Can you imagine Denny Brauer showing up? You're like, dude, I'm out.
Oh man,
Open challenge to you, Denny. If you ever feel like fishing the Upper Bay, we have a pretty mean Thursday night series. It would be
if you're in Maryland on a Thursday night.
It would be the beans. It would be. You're always welcome on any of our boats. But like we all said, we don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah.
We do have a little care package we're putting together for you. We're going to mail you some baits and from some companies, local guys working out of their garage that have been making us some baits here and there. We're going to get them in your hands as a token of our appreciation. And
We've got
if it works out, hopefully, at worst case scenario, we're able to get some small guys their baits in the hands of a Bassmaster Classic champion. So thanks again for everything.
We've got a friend of ours that makes some really, really, really nice hand carved balsa crankbaits.
Balsa crankbaits.
So we're gonna send you a few of those.
I'll get your address from you, Denny. I'll text you, and we'll send you a package. And if you're ever in Maryland,
Let us know.
yeah, Thursday night especially.
Absolutely.
If you lose, then they got to replace my face on the Wheaties box. I don't think he's going to lose. No lay down will have a fish on it after Denny goes down the bank.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank
Take
you,
it
Denny.
easy, man. We appreciate it.
your time.
You have a good weekend, sir.
You too.
The legend himself.
I just almost ended the entire
I
stream.
know, I
when
saw
he said
that.
You should have seen the mouse. The mouse was doing this the whole
I
time.
was like,
Chad, about to shut the screen on.
The freaking legend,
That was
Denny
amazing.
Brauer.
That was amazing.
that was
What up?
incredible.
Gentlemen.
Denny,
Yeah, cheers to that one.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
we got to drink a Maryland beer to it.
Right.
Hold on, fellas. Ready? to Denny Brauer.
To Denny Brauer.
Paul
Thank you,
can't
Mr.
drink
Brauer.
right now. He's
Got
doctor's
liquid death,
orders,
though.
but the rest of us, hold on. We got like a soda or something, dude?
I gotta get one out of the fridge.
Here, hold this.
It's a marker. But hey, that's pretty much bucket list for everyone here is to talk to somebody like that, especially to Denny. That was awesome, Denny. Thanks again. If you're still checking us out, we really do appreciate you coming on, man. That was pretty special. Like I said before,
What a class act, dude.
Oh, absolutely. And when I first got into fishing, like when I would try to find a new technique, I wanted to watch Denny Brauer explain that to me. I didn't, that's the way it was because it made sense in my head. The way he explained it, it was, but I can't say thanks enough, Denny. We really do appreciate it, man. That was the highlight of this podcast to date and probably ever. I mean, that was
dude,
awesome.
that's just a highlight for me in my life. Period.
Yeah, right.
Denny Brauer came on our podcast.
He's been trying to make it work for a little while. Been talking to
Yeah,
him for
so
a
like-
while. He's been on hunting trips and fishing trips,
Oh, yeah.
and actually this week he's doing something with
I'm not
fishing.
gonna lie, I did
for
want to
the
ask him.
youth.
I wanted to ask him about his hunting because I saw all the different mounts in the background.
He just shot a
I
bobcat.
wanted
He's a
to
big
hear
time
about his
No, a
hunting
mountain
stories,
lion.
no doubt.
He just killed last time. He was like, well, I don't know. I went on a hunting trip, so I hit him up and I was like, "How'd the hunting trip go?" He's like, "Just shot a mountain lion."
Yeah.
I mean,
We're in Maryland, dude. Like we don't shoot mountain lions, but
very-
damn, like,
very humble guy, very professional. More than grateful that he took the time out of his day to talk to some guys like us that just want to get some information and talk to a legend.
Right.
And we definitely hope that he would be willing to take the time to come on the podcast again one day for.
I'll work on that,
for
Dan.
I think he will.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
So
No promises,
Dan
though.
said Gerald Swindle will be another good angler to get on the
Ah,
show.
shh. Look, we're working. Look,
One miracle. At
we
a time.
got other people in the works coming on as well. What we need y'all to do
Is
is
share it.
subscribe,
We
share,
need you
like. If you want to keep seeing content like this, it's the only way that it will work. Please
subscribe.
like the
You guys
video,
gotta
share it, subscribe to the YouTube
And please
channel.
share this episode after the fact so that people that haven't
Right.
seen us yet can see it. And not that me
And
personally, I like doing this for a number of reasons, but having 1,000 people watch it isn't what keeps me coming back here.
No.
right.
That being said,
I
it would
like
be
1,000
pretty cool
people.
to have a bunch of people see
Well,
that we got
it's,
the legend himself on.
it's a motivation thing. So
Oh,
like
definitely.
like if you let us know you like it, you let us know you enjoy it, you want to see more, then we can do more.
Right.
If nobody likes it, nobody's watching it, if nobody cares.
I'm not here to make a business. I'm here to have fun and,
Oh, it's not about money.
to just grow a platform.
Not
What
money.
money?
You'll say, hey, look,
What
see
money?
these shirts? I got worms. Send me
I'm-
$25 and I'll send you one. No, it's not like that.
I'm
No,
$3,000 in debt to this podcast. That ain't shit.
no. Hey, so look, we had Denny Brauer. on.
Money.
We
I'm
did our.
wearing a free hoodie.
We
So much
behaved
money on our-
ourselves.
We did behave ourselves.
I did not curse.
We did not curse one time.
I did.
Did you?
I did not.
I didn't even.
And
notice.
I'm the
I
worst
said
one.
hell and shit.
But now it's
Nah.
Friday night shenanigans after hours. Now we can curse. We did our job.
We can
A
keep
little
it.
bit.
We did a good job.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
I
A
can't
little
even
bit.
say
No.
fuck.
No.
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 I can't say bitch.
No.
No.
Maybe.
My bad. Beat those out. there.
Depends on the context.
Look, you're gonna start watching the numbers drop off.
They did too. Sorry. Yeah, I did not mean
He's
that.
excited
I was
about it. He's like,
joking.
yay, they fell off.
I was just joking. I was just joking.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently, only some people had joined in to hear.
So,
Dude,
like-
he gave up some juice that I don't want to bring back.
Do you
up.
have the
You mean like a black and blue tube?
Ah! No, he said a sluggo. Listen.
Oh, whoa! You keep your mouth shut.
Oh, because that was going to be my next video. It's funny you say that.
Do you have the flyer for the
We'll talk
flea
later.
market?
I sure do.
Wait a
So-
minute, I thought the flea market.
I just want to.
They sell fleas at a market?
So
Yeah.
the MR Bass Fishing Flea Market is next weekend, March 4th, from 8 to 1.
We will be
Uh,
there. You
Come
meet
on
us.
out. Some of us will be here.
I
I'll be
won't
there.
be there.
I have a
might be
table,
there. I
so-
might be there.
I have a table there, so I'm trying to.
Me and
offload a
Paul
bunch
will
of
be
stuff.
there. Will
I
you be there?
intend on being
I
there.
leave that weekend for a month of training, so I may be there. I may not.
May or may not.
I'm going all of March.
What
So
about you?
you guys
Jay?
that hate me, you want to
Sounds
deal
like
with
we
me
should
all
just
of
make
March.
a bass and beer table that Paul's selling his stuff at.
I'll be there because it's right down the street
Well,
from my
that-
house.
It's already the Paul / Maryland TBF table. So
Hey, if you guys enjoyed the interview tonight, man, let's hear some comments. Let's hear what people have to say. But
what's going on, Jake?
Oh,
You joined
you know
about
what?
10 minutes late.
Can we?
Oh my gosh, Jake!
Jake,
Jake
just get on.
I do want to.
Jake's just getting on, and Denny's just getting off.
Where's Evan too?
I do want
Evan,
to talk
where you at,
about
bro?
one thing. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. Bass Nation came out today or yesterday and said they're actually changing the format to qualify for regionals and things. You're probably more well versed on it than me, so I'll give you the floor. But I want to get that message out there because for people like me whose schedules suck, like that's appealing to me as an amateur fisherman. Like, I
So
would
for
totally do that.
to try to get more participation in the Bass Nation and to get more grassroots people, they are making the national championship more accessible. So the national championship tournament is going to be a lot bigger with a lot more people, but they're giving a lot more spots to get into to make it to that level. So it's
To
going to be a
be able
much
to
bigger
qualify.
tournament, but a lot more people are going to be able to qualify for it. So what they're doing is they're basing. You still have your state qualifiers.
Yeah, right.
But they've changed that a bit too. So your state qualifiers, where it used to be, you would
Points.
have 20 people that would qualify for a regional, and then one person
Per state.
boater, one rider made it to the national championship. Now there's going to be a state qualifier that will qualify for the state of Maryland.
Do you mean one state qualifier or the
state-
trail?
So you have the trail,
Okay.
and then they'll have like a championship tournament.
Correct.
And 5 boaters and 5 riders in
Correct.
Maryland will be able to go. Now, for those of you in other states, those state qualifiers are based on BASS membership. So somebody like a place like Alabama.
And you don't have to be in a club,
Hold
which
on,
is an important
I haven't
note.
got there yet.
Sorry.
So
I'm
someplace,
excited.
someplace like Alabama, where they may have a couple of thousand of BASS members. They may have 10 or 15 people that could qualify from their state trail. Now, if you are one of the people who can't, fish the state trail because your schedule is, your schedule conflicts, or you're not available to make all of those tournaments to be able to qualify through the trail, they're going to have 4 like regional tournament qualifier tournaments, where a certain percentage of the field is going to be able to qualify directly from that one tournament into the national championship. The nice thing about those tournaments is you don't have to be affiliated with a club. You don't have to be affiliated with your, state Bass Nation organization. You just have to be a member of BASS. So, for those of you who, can't fish the trail, you're not available, every Saturday, or, Tony, being in the military, has drill on certain weekends, and that often, conflicts with the SQT schedule. It gives those people an opportunity to be able to still qualify for the national championship and have a chance to fish for that spot in the Bassmaster Classic and potentially, an Elite Series berth. Will Davis Jr., who won the national championship last year, is sitting in the. I didn't check the results after today, but was leading the Elite Series after the first day on Seminole and top 10'd it last week. He came, he came from a Bass Nation qualifying. He qualified through his state team and won the national championship. So, there's opportunities out there to make it to that professional level without having to fish 9 opens.
So how many tournaments? Is it just one state tournament per year?
So you have for the
non-trail, yes.
So that is a regional tournament.
Oh, it's
So
regional.
and there are 4 of them.
You have to fish all 4.
You only have to fish 1.
Okay.
So they're taking the top percentage from each one goes to the national championship. So, for example, if there's 250 boats in that tournament, like maybe the top 20 qualify.
I want to address a comment real quick. Wyatt, who I fished numbers of tournaments in college with, said Will Davis was his older brother, Jacob, who I also fished plenty of tournaments with at college, was his boater in the regional. So that's actually really cool. Small world.
Pretty cool.
When was that? Let us know. Was that like last year or 2 years ago?
Talk
I've
about
been last year.
the Elite Series event on Okeechobee because that shit was all over the place.
It was.
It was like, good Lord, Scott Martin's leading it.
Before we get to
Steve
that,
Kennedy's
before we
leading
get to that, I missed what you said. So you
Oh,
have to
sorry.
be top 20
So-
per tournament.
I think it's either a certain percentage or the top 20 from each one of those tournaments.
Okay.
I'm not sure 100% on.
So what if
on
you
how many
you win? If you win, are you in?
you go to the net?
But
The
you have
top
to win.
20 go to the national championship.
Is that
Oh,
like
okay.
class-
So if I fish one and get 10th place, I'm
You're in.
No
Right.
shit.
Really?
Okay. Wow. So I guess
Huh.
there's double qualifying and all that nonsense as well.
So we're going for it, is what you're saying.
I'm gonna fish one of them. I would
Oh!
like to.
And I'm not sure where they are or
Before we get into
what's
the Elite
what's
Series,
going on with them, but
the Okeechobee freaking roller coaster, who's fishing the Ike tournament? I know we.
I'm
All
on
of
the
us.
fence. I'm on the fence right now.
You're on the fence.
I'm on the fence.
You in?
Can you
Chad?
pull up the Okeechobee stuff?
Yeah, that was a roller coaster, but I will be in the Ike tournament this year. Me and Evan Hippie Gibbs, we're fishing it. I believe I know Paul's fishing it. Paul fishes it every year. What about you, Seabass? You
I
in?
think I'm fishing.
I am
with my buddy
definitely fishing the Ike tournament. I am waiting to hear back from Scuba Steve if he's in or not.
Yeah, it's just a matter of fact.
So-
So we will most likely, all of us, Tony's on the fence, the rest of us, and our team partners will all be at the Ike Derby. If you guys want to come out, say what's up.
I am hoping if Steve doesn't fish it with me, I want to fish it with Kevin.
Or
If
Brian,
Steve
what about
doesn't
Brian
fish with me.
Dyson? There's like so many.
Or
There's a lot
yeah,
of people out there,
There's
man.
an- absolutely,
Brian's guy-
absolutely.
Little
I had
Bradley?
just already talked to
You
Kevin
know-
a little bit. So
Kevin
Dude,
might
no,
do
I'm
it.
just saying. I know Kevin said he might be interested in fishing it. So I was like, okay, well if Steve doesn't fish it, then maybe me and
Steve
Kevin
might
will
be
just get
fishing it
together.
with the Riz.
He might fish with the Riz.
I would
The
be-
Riz might
You
win.
know
it.
what? We're
He's-
trying to. We really want to take. We want to get John Hansen out of retirement. Get
Yeah.
John Hansen back into fishing some more.
Yeah.
I would throw it.
Yeah,
for
me
all-
and
So we're
Denny,
gonna-
we're fishing it. And like I said, if I win, then my face goes on the Wheaties box. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna make me a Wheaties
I've never
box.
actually seen honey frosted
This.
Wheaties.
So
Is that
you know
still a
what,
thing?
What we did not bring up was he was actually, there's other Wheaties boxes with different anglers on it. He was the very first to be on it. Not this Wheaties box, the original orange Wheaties box.
Right.
So not only has he been on
Very-
the Wheaties box, but he's done it twice.
Oh, more than twice
Okay.
probably, and he's not only been on David Letterman.
It's going to
he's
make me
been on
feel
David
really bad
Letterman
when I wake
twice.
up at 5 a.m. on Tuesday to go to work.
We didn't even get into the David Letterman thing, but he's been on there twice.
Right.
The first time with
That's
Ozzy
pretty wild.
Osbourne,
I did read that too.
He was on with Ozzy Osbourne.
and he taught Ozzy Osbourne how to cast. And the second time
What?
he was on with Jesse Jackson, and Jesse Jackson didn't make it, so Denny Brauer had to fill in the time that Jesse Jackson's like, yeah, I'm on the way with my trot.
So he had
So-
like double the airtime.
He says that he may have the most airtime in a single Letterman episode of any guest ever,
That's pretty awesome.
because
That would
they
be
just
pretty
had him
awesome.
fill in. I
Yeah.
should have asked him about it, but we don't want to take up Denny Brauer's whole night, man.
Well, the whole
He's
thing
probably
is,
got like a local derby tomorrow where he's going to make everybody cry and pick them up.
he's probably he's going to take home their he's going to take their $600.
He's like, oh, you got a bonus this weekend? It's mine now.
Hell, man, we go out on a Thursday night for 3 hours and come home with $500 because you get Lunker in first place
You know
or something like
The
that. You
people
doing
at
all
my
right.
work-
work,
did that.
yeah, the people at my work are like, you want $500? Like, yeah.
Yeah, for 3 hours
I
on a
should've
Thursday
fucking-
night.
Yeah, I go
Which,
church
by the
and-
way,
I
that
should've-
shit's going to grow.
and I've been doing good too. I should have took off today. I did win $500 last night. I'm taking off.
You won $500 last night?
Not last night. No.
I was going to say,
I'm saying after a Thursday night where you do win.
won 50 on the scratch off last night.
You
Dude,
know
I'm not
what?
gonna lie. There was a period of time last year where I would come into work Friday and everybody would be like, "So how much did you win last night?"
Right. That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
It was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, you was on a roll.
So-
but you know what? That was last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
Eh,
So
we'll see what happens this year.
to
You talk big shit, ish. God, that
Talking-
is hard for me not
you know,
to
talking-
curse. My
talking
mom
sports.
is a sailor. My grandfather was a sailor. I cuss like a sailor. That's what I'm
So-
saying.
to get into what Rob's was talking about, the Okeechobee roller coaster, and Greg hit it on the head Florida's always, and that's Florida fishing. There's
Florida's stupid.
because you have average bags, giant bag, average bag, giant bag,
Yeah.
and it flip flops all the time. And what I find interesting about that is Okeechobee is known for shallow water, flipping, punching,
Whereas
throwing a frog, swim
Devil Horse,
jig,
Devil
Devil's Horse.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
that typical shallow water experience that you would expect. But the tournament was won on live scope.
Yeah, it's
In an
annoying.
area.
It annoys me.
And the water's not even that deep. Like,
I
what's
mean,
the deepest spot of Okeechobee? Like, how deep was
Well, he was up in
fishing?
the he was up in the river.
It
So
was
up in
Tyler
the-
Rivet, right?
Yeah, Tower Rivet. He was up in the river, and he was fishing deeper water. I mean, it's
What's
10 to
deeper
15,
water?
10 to 15 feet.
10 to 15 feet deep.
So-
Not that deep.
But
I wouldn't consider that deep.
comparatively, it's not shallow.
Oh, Okeechobee, that's deep water.
Yeah,
though.
that's unheard of deep.
But live scooping.
Yes, his boat was sitting in 22 feet, but he was fishing
Uh,
humps that came up farther. Great.
So would you had ever guessed, would you have been like, oh yeah, you know what, the first Elite Series event this year on Okeechobee is going to be one in 22 foot deep?
No,
Like,
nobody would.
the hell are you
Nobody
talking?
would have thought.
Like,
that.
get out of here.
Did you hear how he found those fish? So he decided to go crappie fishing to catch a bunch of crappie for dinner. And he goes up in the river to find crappie and catches a 4-pounder and goes, and then he caught a 5 and went, well, I guess I'm fishing here.
Found some
That's
fish
pretty
for the
crazy.
derby.
And he ended up. He also brought back. I know Hank Cherry said he brought back a cooler full of crappie too.
Dude, I mentioned a lure earlier that I didn't know. I almost put a video out on that lure. Now we're gonna have to talk later.
The Beetle
What?
spin.
I'm not going to say it. How you mute the mic?
Oh, I don't care.
Oh, okay.
It's just a fluke.
Cool.
He was talking about the banjo minnow,
Yeah.
guys.
Mhm.
It's about the same.
He was talking about the banjo minnow. All right, just all
No.
full disclaimer.
So,
I still can't believe that these guys did not know what that frog was at the time. Everybody was like,
what kind of frog was it?
It's a Norris. That's the Norris.
I've never
frog.
heard. I've
Yeah,
never
me
seen it.
neither.
Nori Tadabi, the guy that invented the Rico.
That's the brand of the frog, Norris.
Yeah, it's his own
Yeah.
company.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
So that means it must not be good.
That's not true at all.
I-
So
I
here's
will
my
say
theory.
that, I will say just by looking at that frog, it looks like it has terrible hookup.
You want to hear my theory? You don't hear about certain lures because they're not a
They
big
suck.
company with a lot of sponsors. So if Strike King made that frog, you would have heard about it. Or
Well,
if freaking
Yeah, but
even
then-
Reaction Innovations or
You,
like whatever. Or Berkeley. Oh, good lord, if Berkeley made that frog,
yeah, but
you would know the name of it.
Let's ask Chad about Berkeley.
Yeah,
But what I'm
But
saying
what
is
about
Nori Tadabi does not have pros promoting his
what
product.
about the Don
He
Iveon
made the
Splash?
Rico.
The
Splashes,
Splash
right?
is well
Exactly.
known. It's well
Yeah.
known.
Do you
That's
know
a
the
well known
Splashes?
bait.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
I mean, that's a
throw 'em.
well known bait, and that's a very small company.
Very
Yeah,
small
so
company,
it's-
but it's well known to people
But
like you. And,
the thing-
you know,
I think the thing with that is there are so many frogs on the market.
well, yeah, frogs. Are,
It's a very saturated.
I mean, like to be honest, just get a Spro frog. I know Tony don't like them, but Spro frog,
I
a
don't
Divacho. What
market.
is
As Spro Frog did work on
Yeah.
Okeechobee last week.
I don't
Right,
not
yeah.
like the Spro
Work.
frog.
I mean, but then you start digging and something a little different. So like the Norris frog has a split weight system in the back. The legs come straight out the back instead of out the sides.
Sure.
A little easier to walk. Soft body, hook up. Am I saying like it's a great frog? You gotta have it? No, I mean like really, if you just want to get a frog, go get a Spro frog and you'll catch it.
So I don't dislike the Spro frog. Let me just clear the air with
It's the
that.
best frog ever freaking made.
I don't think it's any better than Terminator, and it's
No,
twice the
Maybe
price.
not.
It's not better than a KR frog.
Like it's one
What's
of those.
the
I
next
think they have
one?
different-
The Big Gabbit or what's the one with the 3 days? The
I would say in certain situations it is. Just because of the profile.
I would say durability more than anything else.
But
Greg's all right. I got to talk about this.
The
See, I can't
Kara is a very soft body.
I can't compare those two because
Pad
they're completely
crusher.
different
the
profiles.
pad crash.
I mean,
Hate
I'll
it.
say
Hate it.
No
hate
way,
it.
dude. The
Pad
pad
crusher.
crasher is
What is that?
That's a frog catching.
Is that
That's a
lucky?
fish
Lucky?
catching.
Cannot stand
species.
Like the
Who makes
like the
pad
cares like
crashers?
this big. Where,
Booyah.
Booyah.
Okay,
Booyah
here's
pad
why.
crasher.
I'll tell you why I hate the Booyah pad crasher. Okay, not that it's a bad frog.
Bad
It's-
hookup.
It's too late.
Too light.
It's too late. When I with the popping pad crasher, everybody knows I'm a popping frog guy. When I pop the pad crasher, it skips 6 inches on the water.
Well, yeah,
When I pop a Terminator frog, it moves about 2 inches at most.
difference.
Oh, you're a Terminator frog guy.
Oh my god, yes.
So
Bro,
you're
bro.
the difference is
it's just
it's
too
not
late
that it's
for
a
me.
it's not a bad frog.
No, I call
it's not. It's a bad frog for how you're trying to fish it.
Yes.
The bronze eye.
If I were to walk that frog, it as a walking frog, perfectly
The
fine.
bronze
I will
eye.
say the Booyah popping pad crasher is the easiest frog on the market to walk.
Yes.
The bronze eye.
To
The
pop though,
100%.
The K-era.
but to pop, no
Popping
way.
pad crasher,
The
way
bronze eye.
easier to walk.
I don't know.
I promise.
What, the
It's
easiest
so-
frog to walk?
The easiest frog to walk. is popping pad crasher.
I have thrown both religiously,
Let
and
me
Me
ask,
too.
I think the K-era is.
let me ask a question because something I had noticed, which is kind of weird, and maybe I'm just weird, which everybody knows I am, but sometimes I find it easier to walk a popping frog
Yes.
than a walking frog.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
So here's the other thing,
absolutely.
right?
I think that lip definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's a- you know what's a-
so you really only need popping frogs if you think about it. 'cause you can
Well,
walk them. Well, you can
Depends.
The
walk them. You get
popping
more
frog
splash
gives-
when you walk.
right. So the popping,
Uh-huh.
the popping frog. I'll give you two scenarios. One, you want a real subtle presentation. You don't want a popping frog because even if you're walking it, it's still splashing. Two, if you're fishing heavy vegetation, you don't want a popping frog. Regular, your regular
Get caught
walking
up in
frog,
grass,
yeah,
get caught
will
up in
will slide over those heavy mats. So you can just slide it over those heavy mats. Put it in the
I
hole,
will
twitch, twitch,
still
twitch.
use a popping frog in heavy.
Are you
vegetation.
familiar?
I do too.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I'm,
what he's
I'm
saying.
talking more. I'm talking more like heavy hydrilla,
Dustin,
where it's like completely matted on the surface. The popping frog catches on it, and it's too. We're talking mats that are too thick for a fish to come through.
hey, Dustin,
Right,
are
okay.
you talking about the Buster K? You
He's probably talking
familiar
about
with
the
Buster
Cara. I know Dustin likes to throw the Cara.
So-
are you familiar with the Buster K?
I'm quite familiar with the Buster K.
I will tell you this.
That's
when-
enough said about that.
I'll give up a little bit of. I'll give up.
I'll
some
talk
juice.
about the Buster K.
Rabbit
I'll
hair?
give up some juice.
What is
since
it?
we
Is it
did-
rabbit hair?
Hang on.
I'm gonna give up some mad juice.
The
Right
bass
now.
are risky.
Buck's gonna kill me. He's gonna text me and say,
Oh,
"I'm never
Don't
fishing with
Don't-
you
don't
again."
shit.
don't
Don't
talk
give
about
up.
the
Don't-
Buster
Don't
K.
piss off Buck.
I
Yeah.
caught a lot of fish
If you
this
piss
year
off Buck, you'll never win a tournament. this
throwing
year.
popping frogs in thick matted vegetation because this is why I like
Were
the
the
Terminator.
hooks rusted?
No, well, yes, but the reason why I like the Terminator is because it's so heavy. When I pop it, I'm actually able to move that vegetation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And create a
Disturbance.
opening.
So
I'm
you're-
able
but
to
you're still
create
not-
an opening for fish to come out and it's hammering.
You're
If
not.
it's not too.
What about the
thick.
spit?
Eelgrass.
We
So
know
what
how
I'm-
it gets
it's
on the
eelgrass,
flats.
though.
What about
Oh
the
yeah.
spit
So that's
nets?
eelgrass is different because eelgrass just lays over
Well,
and there's an,
milfoil too.
and there's an
Milfoil
open
too.
spot underneath.
Not
of it.
slop. Slop
So-
is game over. But like
What about the
milfoil
spit?
and
Yeah,
eelgrass for
I-
sure.
I was talking more when I was referring to the heavy vegetation, more of the slop.
Oh
you know,
yeah. That's yeah.
You have to throw if you're going to throw a frog in there. You can't throw a
The
popping
spit-
frog because it's just going to catch all.
spit and
that
wad.
nastiness.
It's got like
The
a
spit-
Fantastic frog. The River to Sea Spit and Wad
Wad.
frog. The River to Sea Big John.
Mhm.
I think it is.
I don't know. I know the
Is it
spit
the
and
spit
wad
and
has
wad?
the big plastic
Yeah, it's got that big
The
flag.
spit
mouth
wad,
on it.
and it's a beautiful, well-made frog. Big beefy hooks.
If you want to
However,
move some
I will
grass,
say
that
it
will move
is
some
a
grass.
larger profile.
You better
frog.
you better throw them on a broomstick too because those. I mean,
You have
you-
to nail those.
you
fish
have to
drive
put
that
the
hook.
wood
You
to them mofos.
It is not. They come with some freaking hooks that you could gaff a whale with.
Yeah.
I mean, like they come with some hooks on those puppies.
I have I have a river to see that what is it issues like Fat Matt Daddy.
Oh,
That's a river to
the
sea?
Big King.
It's a
No,
fat
King-
cat.
King Daddy
it's
frog?
just-
No, that's
It's
that's
just
a,
fat daddy.
that's Spro.
It's called the,
That's
the
Spro.
big
Strike
daddy or the fat daddy or
The King
something.
Daddy, King Daddy Spro.
King daddy.
What's the Strike King? The massive
But
Strike King.
so let
I
me
don't know the
educate.
massive strike
You mean the
one.
massive zoom one?
There's the
No,
massive.
I thought
zoom.
there was one from Strike King that was like freaking 4 inches or something.
That's
Let
the
me,
that's
let me
the
tell you
Spro
something.
that you're thinking of.
So
But the sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
Nah,
wanted to
you're
finish my
good.
thought here. The Fat Matt Daddy.
Mhm.
It's a river to sea walking frog. And
a
it's-
big frog.
It is a giant frog, and it has got some gaff hooks on it. I don't even think I throw a
They-
7.3 heavy for my frog rod. I don't know if I can put those hooks through a bass's mouth with that rod.
They are a very well put together frog, I will say though.
Oh yeah, Dude,
Well,
like
the
a-
river to sea frogs
really good.
are actually, I really,
Wait a
really
minute,
like
it's-
them. They have good
It's not a
hardware.
snow frog?
They are a
River
strong,
sea.
they are a strong rubber, a strong plastic. They have a good walking action, a good spitting action on the spit and wah. The only thing I will say is I don't think they make one in a profile. I'm not going to say small enough, but I would like to see a smaller profile.
Greg, a Kitech is worthless in the type of slop that I'm talking about.
Wait a minute.
We're talking about the slop.
Kitech
Are we
makes
talking
that
about
bad.
like the black shit slop?
So
The black shit slop, and you got like one hole
or
like
the
this big.
cheese.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the shit that overheats your
Dude, them
output.
bass go in there though.
Oh yeah. Oh no, they're in there.
Hideki that invented the Vixen made a frog called a sumo frog, and the sumo frog is why we have the bonsai
So
frog.
the first
He
tournament,
gave it to Ish. Ish won a tournament on it, and then designed the bonsai frog off of
the
it.
first tournament I actually ever won was in the slop on a frog.
The bronzei? I
No,
don't think
but-
Ish, I don't think Ish designed the bronzei.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Dean Rojas designed that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dean. Hey, look, both of them. But
yeah,
yes, I'm sorry, Dean Rojas. But it's an old school frog, sumo
Yeah.
frog, under the radar that nobody ever heard of. And
That's
Dean
something that,
Rojas, not Ish. Dean Rojas.
yeah,
won on it.
the swim jigging that Carl was doing today. So he's not doing like our normal swim jigging that we normally see with like a twin tail grub or something on the back. He has a like 5-inch X-Zone swammer on the back of his swim jig.
Really?
so it's a huge profile.
his swim jig profile is like this big.
Was Seminole?
Yeah.
How, what
He's in the
what
top
place?
10.
I'm putting
He's in the top
Greg's
10.
juice up.
Yeah. He had 21 pounds yesterday.
Damn.
Um,
He had like
That's like one of the pages that I stole out of Tony's books, though. I'm not gonna lie. Tony likes throwing those little freaking 3-inch paddle tail swim baits around
what
Oh,
the
yeah.
Kitech?
with a little ball head on it.
Dude, I get
Yeah.
so that's my confidence base.
Straight up.
If I'm around, if I'm any body of water where the main forage is less than 3 inches, that's what I'm throwing.
Did you see
There's
those
no
little?
doubt.
Did you see those little rage swim baits that I bought?
Mhm.
yeah. those are-
I got those just because of watching you throw those little
Dude,
freaking
I'm
paddle
I will
telling
tails.
say Tony turned me on to the swim bait, the
Yeah.
small swim bait
Tony
thing.
is a downsized.
I'm telling you, when-
downsized.
not only is it a swim bait candy, which Tony is always chasing, or swim bait,
Smallmouth,
smallmouth candy, which Tony is always chasing the smallmouths.
Me
I,
too.
I love swim baits.
I love smallmouth.
We know.
The
Hello,
hookup ratio on
flipping.
them is
All right.
dude. The thing about it is the hookup ratio is so good on those little.
Oh my
swim
gosh,
baits.
yeah.
Like you just don't lose a lot of fish on them. Like that's part of the reason why I really like them.
As
so
long as you
much.
get them in quick.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Wait till
when
you
they-
see
when
what
they
guests we
definitely,
got
if
next
they
week.
when
When
shake
they
and
start
jump,
when they start
definitely
jumping
pop
and
those
stuff,
things.
yeah, that jig will come
Dude,
out.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Dude,
Like
a big one will bend one of those hooks.
I've won a number
Especially
of.
if hooks. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm fishing the Kitech. Do you fish the Kitech tungsten ball heads?
No.
Oh,
It's
that
a
sounds
real white wire hook, but it is like you don't have to set the hook.
So,
Currently,
like, they
literally
hook
all I'm
themselves.
throwing is those raids.
So-
And the one I was throwing in Anna was actually only one of the 5 gram.
When you
And
were
I-
throwing you throw the Okashira head too a little bit, don't you?
I do. I have the Okashira head, but the Okashira head is also like less than 1/8. I don't know what it is.
I think the tournament win that I'm the most proud of, or not even a win. Like I've won a number of tournaments in Team Outcast, which you
My
know
brother.
is full of hammers. Thursday nighters, this, that, and the other. I think my most proud tournament finish is and this sounds so stupid to say it out loud, but my 3rd place finish on Conolingo last year against a bunch of
hammers.
absolute monsters on Conolingo. Like, and we probably caught 30, 40 fish that day, almost exclusively on small swim baits. Like, it was just so much fun. I mean, we were calling shots. It was like me and Kevin were fishing. It was, we pull up to a spot and it was, hey, I'm going to catch one like on this rock right here that's on your 360.
Oh, you did some pole batter,
Oh, yeah.
effing batter.
But
stuff on
it was so,
Pole's like, watch this.
we were so dialed in that day. It was incredible. And I'm not going to sit here and say we should have won that tournament. I mean, we lost 2 big fish, that one of which I saw was a serious fish. I'm not going to say we would have won, but maybe. Either way, like
Either way, you got to fish clean.
it was absolutely.
You know,
It was cool because when
You
we
don't
came
look
in,
level.
Like I know those guys up there, and those guys are like you said, serious hammers on that lake. What happened?
Wait, somebody said that not a
Chad's trying to give me a
fan.
It's going on for.
They don't like booyah.
Do we need to put a
booyah
warning?
or spro.
Yeah.
Well, what do you like? Jackal? Maybe?
But like, my point. I'll wrap this up. The point I'm
sorry,
getting to is like when we weighed in that tournament, we had second lunker, not by a lot either. Like it was close, and third place, and people were like, "Oh, what's going on? Like, who's this guy?" Because we had done a decent finish the week before too.
My name's Chad.
And I'm an alcoholic.
Sorry, but that's like one of my that's probably one of my favorite tournament memories because we caught a lot of fish and held our own against some monsters.
You're fading away, Tony.
Yeah, let's hear some.
I will say I had a good.
Let's hear some Beavis and Butthead imitations, impersonations.
I had a great.
Because it is after hours. We have Denny Brauer on. We're still.
I want to hear Paul's point first.
I just want to say I really enjoyed spending, me and you spending some time up on Conowingo.
Dude, that was a blast.
You enjoyed that?
I did. And Tony, like I wasn't. I mean, you can ask Tony. Like I never asked Tony for any kind of information or anything like that. I just said, hey Tony, I'm pre-fishing for a club tournament on Conowingo. I'm spending 3 days up there. You want to go? And Tony just jumped on the back of my boat, and we had a blast. Caught a ton of fish, and
I learned a lot.
and I did learn some stuff. I learned some stuff about fishing swim baits from Tony that that did end up helping me in that tournament. I caught
that you won, right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I've learned a lot from Paul.
I caught Wunker.
A very lot from Paul.
Or no, I didn't have Wunker. My rider had Wunker.
What do you catch it on?
Knit rig.
Oh, cool.
So 3.5
largemouth, right?
Yeah, 3.5 pound largemouth.
I learned a very lot from Paul. And me and Tony's been out and smashing them. But the most craziest thing that I have ever learned that is Tony does like his own thing. Like we were smashing them and I broke my line off and I was like, I ain't got no more hooks. And Tony's like, I got one. And he gives me a hook. It's rusted. It's not sharpened. Like just whatever. And he's like, it'll be good. And still catches them. Like he's just like
full send.
Yeah, just like whatever.
Tony,
you don't need sharp hooks.
Tony's just too cheap to buy new hooks.
What size line you got on?
I'm
Tony?
telling you right
whatever
now.
size I had in my box that was available.
I'm telling you right now, Tony is the MacGyver of bass.
Right.
Like
Now Paul's the exact opposite. Paul is very I'm Mr. Biting. Paul's like, you ain't got the right size line.
So all right, let me ask you this.
Are you using fluorocarbon? Is that monofilament? You shouldn't be using braid. Paul's the exact opposite. Tony's like, whatever line you got, put it on there. We'll catch them.
When you fish a Texas rig, all right, with a shaky head or whatever, and the front of your worm starts to rip off, you put a new worm on, and you bite the head off like 5 times.
Put a new worm on.
Dude, I bite the head off like 5 times.
Hold on. It depends on how many more of those worms I have in my bag.
Oh yeah,
I could have 1,000.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
Bazinga!
Bazinga?
Bazinga!
Tony, you don't need
Bazinga.
sharp hooks, and it doesn't matter what size line. And you know what? Wear a bright orange shirt. They can't see you.
Use a carrot stick.
Okay, so great question for Tony. What's up with that? Tell your story.
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning.
Because we told it last week, but we didn't exactly
Tuesday,
get to you to tell
Right.
it. So
Can you hit something?
So I was like going down the lake,
and
and then my boat stopped running and stuff,
They just stop.
and then we were stuck out in the middle, and there were no chicks to come rescue us. Okay, so
So did it just stop? You're just
no, it was actually kind of like a butthole pucker type of thing. So running down Lake Anna, I get my boat serviced every year. That's one thing I like. Mechanical stuff. I'm a mechanically inclined person. I try to take care of as much as I can. I get my stuff serviced every year, take it in, have them do it, yada yada, whatever. So running down the lake, ran all over the lake Saturday, was completely fine. Sunday, run down the lake. We're fishing all morning. Of course, we run to the furthest pool away because why wouldn't you? And we're down there fishing, and I'm running back to a different creek where we were on a pretty good pattern. Me and Buck were kind of whacking them a little bit, and running down the lake. And I actually went for a wide turn because I'm on plane, not wide open, but doing 50. Go for a wide turn, and as the motor turns, I kind of heard it sounded like a clicking, but it wasn't enough for me to be stop it. I was this is kind of weird. Straightened it out. It's fine. I figured maybe it was something flapping in the wind. No big deal. I swear to God, right about the time I was like, oh, that was weird. I was like, holy crap. And now once I straightened out, I hammered down, right? So I'm running like 65, like wide open. And then all of a sudden it was like complete blowout, no traction at all. And the motor's doing weird RPM stuff, like bouncing on and off the rev limiter. So the boat finally sets down.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like,
still had that bitch pegged.
yeah, right. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And the boat finally sets
Should've went,
down.
yoink.
And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Because I've blown up a motor twice. And it's not fun. You know how it is. It's not fun, dude.
I've been through more
Oh, yeah,
motors
dude.
than
Like,
anybody.
I like to call it.
Dude,
I like
it's
to call it.
horrible.
Well,
I
by
like
the way, we would also like to point out Tony was in pool 3.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a long
Tony was a long way away from the cabin.
How'd you get back?
By
Kevin
trolling
towed us to a
motor?
different route.
By trolling motor, that was a long way.
So,
it's like 7 miles.
so we sat down. And
That's a long way away from trolling.
When me and Paul was
I
out
know.
there and it was like 17 degrees from pool 3 back to the cabin, felt like forever.
Yeah. So we sat down, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, please tell me I didn't blow this thing up. I killed the motor at this point. I actually pulled the cord because I was like freaking out. Plug it back in, crank it over, it fires right up, idles perfectly, hit the rev limit, or hit the warm lift and rev it, and the motor's running perfectly. I'm like, okay, I didn't blow it up. Thank God, right? Go to put it in gear, and it's just clack, 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 click, and I'm like, this lower's done.
Yep.
Like it's completely done. Put it in reverse.
Better
It
than the
spun
full
3
motor.
times. Click one hard time. Then it wouldn't do shit. And I was like, "Yep, lower's gone." Which it sucks, but back in the day when I was a more immature, I would have gotten really upset about this. I would have been totally fried lobster for the rest of the day.
Ish happens.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not to get
That's life.
into it, but like part of my lifestyle of going into the military and VMI and shit was like you have to learn how to deal with stuff. Like you can't freak out. It doesn't make it better. So I was like, oh, whatever, dude. It sucks. Like let's go find a cove and go fish there.
How old is the motor?
The motor's an 06 and it had 200 hours when I bought it. I probably put 150 more on it. Now, without getting into the details, these lower units are not really made for longevity. They're made for speed. So they have kind of a 400 hour.
I
as
feel like
gather.
you got.
Can we,
I feel like you got a decent, sufficient amount of life out.
Dude,
of
I use the
of
shit
your
out of that
lower.
boat. I mean, I use it like 3 times a week for 2
He hasn't
years.
had it since 06, though.
No.
Like he's only had it for a few
but
years.
it's still an old unit.
Can we talk about Tony?
It still has more age
Tony's
on it.
floating trailer.
Oh yeah, that's
Sorry.
pretty good.
Oh my
That's
god.
pretty good.
You have video.
We-
of that.
all right.
So
He
we
actually
have
went
video of it, and we did show it. When
We showed
went
video
by
of it
the
on
other day.
Tuesday, and
I
went
will-
into great detail because
I-
it was hilarious.
Yeah,
It was
I
pretty
will
bad.
show this again because this is just one of the highlights of my 2023 so far.
We should have
So,
showed this to Denny. He
just
would've
to
laughed at me.
just to straight up.
Denny
Can't-
would've
just
laughed.
to reiterate over
you
this
can't
again.
laugh at yourself. Then.
Oh, I was laughing at
Tony-
myself.
I've done some of the dumbest crap in the world.
So I'm going to show you guys
And
this
I own
video, and we're going to talk about it, and then I have a Ranger boat update for you
Oh,
guys.
yeah,
by the
big
way.
time.
Oh, yeah,
Huge Ranger boat update for you guys. So don't go anywhere. Watch this video.
This
and
is Tony
essentially-
launching his trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically what happened is
I had too much air in the tires.
Tony blew his lower unit, and me and Kevin pulled Tony over to a private ramp that we weren't supposed to be at, essentially.
Yeah, kind of. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So there was a link
Tomato.
link in the chain that was blocking off the ramp that was that you could unthread, and so we were able to unthread that and get the link to come apart and drop the chain. Because pulling by the way, when we hooked up the rope to Tony's boat, Kevin looked down and only had a 16th of a tank of gas left.
Oh, that's good. I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, only had a
didn't
16th
know
of a
that.
tank of gas left.
That's,
We were
that's
at pool
plenty for
3,
Tony.
7 miles from
I can
the
buy
house.
some new hooks with the money I see.
That's right.
So we pull him over to here, whatever. Me and Kevin leave. We go fish for a little bit longer. We get back in the truck, drive over to this place, pick up Tony. Tony puts his boat on the trailer. I pull out. We're strapping the boat down, or Tony is strapping the boat down. And then we noticed that the bunks on Tony's trailer had shifted to a vertical position instead of
Which is stupid.
kind of cradling the boat. So I had to back the boat back in, and we were going to let it float and fix the bunks and then tighten them back down. Long story short, Tony,
That's me.
That's Tony. Tony, and I'm sorry, I'm just calling you out on it. Forgot to take a transom strap off.
Both of them.
It happens.
Okay, he admitted it, both of them. I didn't even know that part. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking in my rearview mirror as Tony's fiddling around with whatever he's doing with the boat. And like 3 minutes go by, and next thing I know, Tony's boat and the trailer are
Jackknife.
over here to the left.
Jackknife.
And I'm like, hey guys, I was like, Kevin, Buckland, is the trailer floating right now?
Yeah, I would just start pulling out.
Well, the problem was,
The problem
is
was
that it was
the-
off the ramp, dude.
the
And there's
boat
like
was
a
like-
even pull out.
vertical.
You could not pull out.
yeah.
The boat was
Yeah.
over here, and the ramp is here.
I got
Like you could not pull it out.
Right.
And like I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Put it in
this
four-wheel
is-
drive and have at it.
like so. Not only are we supposed to be like stealth mission, like get in, get out, and now this is just turning into a circus fiasco.
Yeah, the only thing missing was like the red nose I should have put on.
Yeah.
You know what I
So,
mean?
anyways, we'll show this one more time. Here is Tony dragging his boat and the trailer.
With an ardent reel that held up to it. by
With
the
the
way.
ardent reel back onto the ramp.
What? What'd you say?
I'm lying here. I'm gonna send this to Suffolk. Don't have a rope. And your dumbass leaves your transom straps strapped up. I'll make it work.
We made it happen.
Just fantastic. So, and then we're going to be on to our last bit of news for tonight, and then we are hanging it up. Ranger boat update.
It's only 9:30.
It is only 9:30.
Quack.
I mean, I guess we get. You got some? You want to talk about some more stuff?
I think
Plenty
the
of stuff we can talk about.
the
All
Ranger-
right, let's
the
keep,
Ranger-
we're going to keep on rolling though.
We gotta talk about-
Ranger
Wait,
boat update.
I'm gonna smoke a cigarette before staying long.
Yeah.
I
Ranger.
agree, bro.
Ranger emailed me and they finally got
Need a
back to me
smoke break.
today, and they told me that they could not fix the problems with the boat. They could not fix the
Womp
hull to
womp.
satisfactory for them.
They sent you a big emoji that said LOL.
So what?
So
There's a silver lining though.
The silver lining is Ranger is sending me a brand new 2023 hull.
bam.
Yeah.
What color is it going to be, buddy?
Pink and black.
It's going to say
Oh, no,
hello.
That'd be pretty
Neighbor.
tight.
I
Pink and
if
black.
I
work
custom
fine.
order my new boat, it may be pink and black.
Yeah.
Pink
I'm
would-
going.
I would love
pink-
that.
I'm
Pink
going
power
off
pole.
the Doug
Pink
Hannon.
power poles, Paul. Oh my
So,
God.
I'm
Ranger-
going with the Doug Hannon
Pee-pee.
philosophy that you need to camouflage yourself in your boat.
Ranger is sending me a
With smallmouth,
brand
okay.
new 2023
Oh,
hull
about
to
the fire.
replace
It's a smallmouth.
my 2021
I want something that just
19.8
kind of
piece
blends in.
hull. I'm
I'm
stoked on that. Not that the other one that I had was basically brand new, minus a couple like dinks, like paint scratches on the
Other than
side
the fact-
that were
Wait, wait, wait,
not
hold on,
that
wait,
were
wait.
not to.
But you're
from
getting
me.
the
Other than
new-
the fact that it didn't work.
and the fact that it didn't fucking.
But you're getting
work.
a new, brand new, never.
I have to
been-
use this phrase now because it's my favorite phrase. So your boat didn't work. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
He like
Mrs. Lincoln is excited.
should be,
So
dude.
Ranger
that's my
also
They
just
made
to-
it right though.
just to top everything off, as I was talking to the woman from Ranger today, as she's going over everything that is going on.
What was her name?
Trisha.
Trisha. That's
Thanks,
what Trisha. Trisha.
Shout out to
Um,
Trisha.
I said, hey, before I hang up the phone, I said, do I get to pick the color?
Can I get pink?
And now I have to get full confirmation, but she did tell me over the phone, as long as it doesn't cost anything extra, you can get whatever color.
Damn,
Nice.
dude. If they called me and told me it's gonna be a new boat, I'll be like, send me whatever. All right, cool.
So,
That's like, can I get it in
Holy
this
crap.
color?
Oh yeah.
That
so
sucks.
I
mean, it's not like they won't float, but
Well, hold on.
if you get a hole in them, it would.
I want to hear the rest of Chad's say before we get to Cliff's comment on the screen.
I agree with Scott though. That Ranger did like, hey,
It sounds like they're making it right for you.
I mean,
And
I have
I would hope so. It's a it's a year-old boat.
And
I
we
have
had
nothing
Denny
negative to say about Ranger and or White River Marine Group in this application. I brought the boat up to Bowers Marina. Bowers Marina turned in everything, was fantastic for me. Ranger Boats took care of the issue. They took it back to the factory. I will say, I mean, it's been a decent amount of time now that I've been without my boat and haven't actually had any information. I called them to actually get information
And they were
on
like,
what was going on, and they asked me for a haul number while I was at work, and I didn't have the haul number on me, so I was like, oh, I'll have to call you back when I get home, only to get home and open up an email to find that they had emailed me right after I called them and told me that they can't fix the boat, they're just going to replace it with another one.
Wow. Hey,
So,
hats off to Ranger.
Luckily,
on
the saving grace is, and I know you haven't had your boat in a while, but it happened late in the year.
right.
Yeah.
So most
Getting
of
really
the time
nice
it's
a
been
lot
in the
of time.
winter.
Yeah.
If you had found this out in like March, you would be
Pissed.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy my lower
Yeah.
went up when it did instead of in March because I would be screwed.
Did you get it
So,
straightened out, Tony?
Yeah, I'll have it back.
Just to
before
finish
anything.
off the Ranger thing, I
My boat
think
is still
I
on
am
run,
going
right?
to
It's
change
still
the
running
color
anyways.
of the boat. I think I'm changing the color
You're
of
gonna
the
do the
boat.
gray.
It's gonna be magenta.
Great.
Yeah, I think instead
Black
of
or green?
doing, I had the fusion blue with it was the gunmetal gray with the blue accents
That was
on it.
tight too. Yeah.
Great looking boat. No, I absolutely love it. Honestly, I really do like it. But I think I'm going to change it to the gunmetal gray and the lime green.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it out loud. I'm gonna take one out of Dustin's book. Dustin's boat is pretty fire.
Lime green
Nice
is
looking
bad.
boat.
That's one of my
I-
favorite colors.
Yeah.
I had a.
What are you gonna do about the power poles? 'Cause I know you already ordered blue
So-
power poles.
I already ordered blue power poles. They are at Bowers, still in the box at the dealership. I'm gonna call them and just see if I can
Exchange them out.
exchange them for a set of black ones.
So, from the availability of power poles right now, that shouldn't be an issue because
If not, get the wrap.
everybody's looking for power poles and apparently nobody has them. So they would probably be able to sell those like immediately.
Yeah, but the issue might be, can they get me the black ones?
Yes, that could be an issue as well.
I'm trying very hard to get through there.
So, if not, my other idea is that I looked up. I'm gonna get power pole wraps potentially for the blue ones.
The problem with that though is you're still going to see the blue.
Where do you still see the blue?
Every hole in those power poles on the side
Yeah,
is going to be blue.
that
Why?
might look kind of cool.
Because the wrap only goes on the outside.
It'll
So
be
the
like
inside,
electric
the
blue.
inside of the hole,
Right.
is still gonna still gonna see the blue through.
I feel like that would look cool.
I kind of dig it. I want to get the Cliff's comment right here. So
We
Cliff,
would have to. We could throw some other like.
no,
blue,
we just
figure
had
out some
a,
other like blue accents to throw on your boat to make it match.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I mean. Like,
Cliff. Hold on, we had the wrong Cliff Sanders comment up. Where is it? It's got to scroll.
Greg says
up.
no, get black.
All right, so Cliff
I
said,
agree.
But if I get black, I'm wrapping it in lime green after that.
Oh, yeah.
to match. the
Either
boat.
way, they're getting.
Either way, they're getting wrapped in lime green.
so Cliff said that Lowe just had a recall of their aluminum bass boats that the factory forgot to put the foam in the boat.
Dude, I
Now,
was looking at the
How
I was looking at the
So,
low stinger so
how
hard.
do you do that?
So
How does that happen?
I don't know how that happens, but if that happened with a glass boat, do you realize how in demand that those boats would be?
Dude, that would be yeah,
Oh
sure.
my
they'd be
God.
fast as
Because
hell.
they'd be so
fast
much better.
as hell. I don't understand how you do that. Like it's like the most crucial part of any bass boat.
No, not really. I mean, it's not-
Foam
the,
just makes it not sink.
it only matters when you like punch a hole in the hull.
Yeah, just so your boat doesn't
Slow
go to
down
the
there.
bottom of the ocean.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. No, Greg. It's not that much lime green. So just because the
Yeah,
wrap
it's
power
not-
poles, the boat only has a couple of green accents on the side and a couple of green accents in the seats. So the green power poles aren't really too much. I think it'll look good.
Nah, yeah, definitely. It'll be 90% gray. And then you'll have the green accents. I'm also doing the where is it? From Z Decals. I'm also going to do the green decal kit
Oh yeah, so it'll match.
for the Mercury Pro XS, as well as the green power pole wraps. And I'm doing a custom 30-inch carpet decal for Bass and Beer Radio.
Nice.
I'm throwing down.
That's pretty.
It's kind of, I feel like it's kind of epic.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
The
You
only
know what?
reason,
The custom carpet decal, 30 inches, is like $60.
the only problem with the carpet details, and I know you plan on keeping that boat for a long time anyway, and probably forever, until it dies.
Essentially.
If you for like resale carpet decals, whenever every boat that I've ever seen that had carpet decals, when they pull them off, they're there forever. Like the outline is there forever.
Yeah, you can't get it out with a freaking vacuum cleaner or anything.
No.
It's
from sun fade. So you got the sun beating
Oh,
down,
yeah,
the sun
yeah,
beating down
yeah,
on the carpet,
that too.
but not on there. So it's going to be
two
a
different
color.
shades in your carpet. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just you have different colors in the carpet.
Cliff says that Lowe is owning up to the issues. Obviously, they put the recall out.
Yeah.
Man, dude, Lowe is a fantastic.
Yeah, they're a great company.
Lowe is a great company. I'm running a Lowe John boat and the freaking 1994. I've never had a freaking problem with it. I've blown rivets out of it before, but it never gave me issues. I just put another rivet in it and smashed it and kept rolling.
Do you keep rivets in it? Do you keep a pop rivet gun?
It's not even a
Rivet it back
pop rivet gun. It's bucking rivets.
Oh,
You actually have to buck the rivets on it.
fuck that.
Yeah, it's easy.
Got to beat it with a hammer and shit.
I'm telling you do. However, the boat is solid. For a 1994, I have run into so much shit with that boat.
I've ran into a lot of shit in my champion. Meh.
I have videos of me just being like, "Hey, I'm gonna run."
That's why I'm
It was tournament time. I have to get over here to this grass patch that's 6 inches deep.
That's the one thing that I will say that I don't look forward to getting a new boat, because I beat the shit out of that champion.
I have a feeling that you'll be a little bit more careful when you have something underneath you that's newer.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I am not afraid to run that champion freaking anywhere.
I don't think you understand how nervous I am to actually run this Ranger now, as I've never had a boat that tops out at speeds like this. And
because you should be able to get, you should be solid low 50s.
Oh, that with the correct prop, the boat should hit about 60
I don't know.
in the correct conditions.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know enough about the hull to be able to tell you.
I've read enough Ranger forms to know that the boat can do it if the prop is correct and it's in the right conditions.
I don't trust most Ranger owners. Were they using GPS speed or were they using the Speedo?
I don't know,
Because the Speedo is usually about 10 miles an hour off.
when you see 100 different reviews saying that you can get to 60.
Yeah,
if
you can probably do 60,
if the
like,
wind
if
is
you-
right and the tide is right,
Oh yeah. Oh well. Shit. I can go 63 if I'm running. If the tide's going out, I'm running down the Susquehanna.
but you're still doing 60.
Yeah, but 5 mile an hour. That's with the freaking current.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
It's
doing it.
It's doing it.
It's doing it.
But most people.
It's a 60 mile an hour boat.
That's what. Talking about top speed on boat, that kind of brings up a good point. Is most people don't realize how to. They don't know how to get top speed, whether it be from setup, whether it be, which you really should have your boat set up for a top speed, and it doesn't have to be the fastest the boat will go, but it should be the max RPMs that your motor will get. So if you're at full throttle, full trim, you should be at, if your rev limiter is at 5,800, you should be at 5,700 RPMs. That's how your boat should be set up. You have to have a all-out speed to really get your boat set up correctly, and that'll make it run better at lower speeds.
I do not like running my stuff off the red line.
That's why I said 5,700.
57 and 58. I don't like that. I would rather run it like 52, something like that.
So you can't, but
I like to baby my shit.
So you can do that, but you need to go out and get it set up so your prop runs correctly at
Yeah.
max.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you got to run it like that all the time.
Mhm.
You can take it, you can take it easy, but to get your boat set up properly, you have to know.
Oh my goodness gracious, you scared me.
So you don't have to run it like that. You just have to know that it's set up correctly because that's going to make it run better at the lower RPMs. The other thing with top speed is
Can I get a beer?
you can claim all the top speed that you want if you're on current.
Bow or butt?
Because if you're running with
Look at
current,
that bow.
your boat's going to run faster.
I got a whole different philosophy.
Paul, remember when we talked about bow earlier? Before
Natty
the
bow?
podcast even started?
Did we?
Yeah. You said that it tastes
Paul's
like
not
you said
drinking.
that it tastes
Yeah,
like
it does.
bunghole.
It does taste like bunghole.
But it's
It's not that bad.
I got a whole different philosophy. Like my motor, like shakes, it doesn't run correctly. But I'm still. It gets me to where I gotta go. So
I was just like, so while you guys were out, we
It's
were
better
just
than
talking
when
about
it was running last year.
getting your motor, getting your motor
I
set
got
up correctly
issues,
and knowing
man.
the top speed, knowing the top speed to be set up for what you want. So if you're running rough water, you may have run a different prop. It's a 4-blade prop that is a little bit slower but has more bite, but it still goes to 5,700 RPMs.
planes out
But
quicker.
Instead of going 72 miles an hour or 73 miles an hour, maybe it goes 68 or 70.
Well, it gets you on plane quicker.
All depends on the
4-blade
setup.
versus a 3-blade. Because I always wondered this.
All depends on setup.
Yeah.
It depends on. There's too many variables to give you a good answer on that.
Mhm.
Typically, your 4 blades have more bite, so typically they'll get on plane faster. But the hull of the boat makes so much difference with that as well. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to play around with setup and props and things like that. Once you find the sweet spot where you're hitting, again, your rev limiter is 5,800, you're hitting 5,700 when you got it pegged and trimmed all the way out. That's where you want to be.
Oh, we
So you can go down, up and down, and propped until you get there. So if you're at 5,500, if you go to from a 24 to a 23, and in the same prop, that'll typically take you up 200 RPM and get you where you need to be.
Who's not with us on here tonight, but he's with us in spirit. He's like a prop
He's a prop hoarder.
genius. Yeah.
He's a prop hoarder.
Yeah, if you want some prop advice,
Yeah.
we'll have to pick Kevin's brain.
The
on
old
one
Kevin
day, 'cause-
Parsons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin-
That prop guy. He's
Kevin's-
a prop guy. He knows props
Between-
like Chad knows swim baits.
That Skeeter rolls.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I borrowed his boat for a tournament a couple years ago, and mine was blown up, and it was the worst mistake I ever made.
Wow.
Because
Nice.
I immediately wanted to buy a new boat because I was
Oh,
I was rolling 71 miles an hour up the back channel. I had his boat aired out.
yeah.
I mean, aired out. We were rolling up the back channel.
Dude, I know me and Kevin was.
I was like,
behind-
hey, I called him after the tournament. I was like, hey, Kevin, how fast you had this boat? And he was like, I've had it at 73. I was like, I need to buy a new boat. And he said, why? I was like, because I was rolling up the back channel at like 71. God, yeah, that boat scoots.
Yeah, that boat does scoot. I was riding it all
He's like a
weekend on
machinist.
attitude. That thing can roll.
Yeah, he is.
He's like a machinist.
He made my dual mount for
You
my
want to know
fish
what's
hunters.
wild about it though? Is it's 70 mile an hour fast, but it doesn't even feel like it's going 70 miles an hour. Like it runs so good.
That's real.
Yeah.
Most bass boats are like that. Like
Yeah.
you never
Not
really
mine.
feel.
Dude,
Like
I mean, I know that Brandon, when he was down there, he had that Triton 21 footer. He said when that boat would get up to like 65, he said it would start to chime walk so bad. But again,
so a lot of that has to do with seat time and knowing how to drive the boat. So that's way more. That's way more on the driver than it is on Kevin can drive that boat.
Yeah.
When I was driving 70 miles an hour, it was sketchy as anything.
So, Cliff,
You dip pretty good on.
it was going. I mean, it was like this the
Yeah.
whole way up the back channel.
Cliff, what's the fastest you ever had your Ranger? Cliff's for those of you guys that don't know, Cliff's got the fastest Ranger ever.
Yeah.
I
So
thought
he
that
says.
I thought that kid on Facebook had the fastest
It is-
Ranger ever.
Cliff's his is second to Cliff's.
Oh.
Cliff, comment because we want to know. I'm not trying to bust your balls, but I'm a little bit. So I'll let him post it.
Those older Tritons, like Brandon had, like they're sketchy.
Dude, they're sketchy. They're sea needles, man.
They're sketchy to drive, but they are fast.
How do you get a boat haul to hold steady at 90 like these gamblers?
A lot of seat time and knowing how to correct chine walk.
So gamblers have trim tabs, which kind of adds a whole new element to the game.
Oh, yeah, but you're not going 90 miles an hour. You're not using trim tabs
man.
at 90 miles an hour.
CJ Kraft, his gambler, that shit.
I think the only thing you have in the water at 90 miles an hour is a prop, and that's it.
Pretty much. And about this much of the boat.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like deep. I'm talking about that much of the back of the boat is touching the water. You just have to know. You have to know how to correct chine walk. If you ever watch those guys driving, watch their hand on the steering wheel. They're constantly bumping like this to keep the boat level.
That's
because the boat has when you get up that high on pad, the boat has a natural tendency to go from side to side.
Right.
Would you plane through the gunpowder on that?
Or what?
90 miles an hour?
No. But at that point, what's the difference between 70 and 90? If I hit a log, I'm done.
I hit a log one time. My whole cowling on my motor came off, landing on the front deck. Dan was actually with me. I don't know if Dan's still on.
Greg, tell us again how long it would take for you to get from Wilson Point to the back of Bush Creek in the original. What was it? The Wednesday night threefers?
Yeah, in the Wednesday night. I think he said.
Wait, in the jet or the other in the
in his
train?
I think he told me.
Point boat ramp.
I think he told me he could be in Bush Creek, from Wilson Point in 11 minutes.
Damn,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I want to say is that correct?
To the bush.
16 minutes. Sorry, I knew it was either like 1
that's
over
the
10
back
or
of the
1 over
bush,
15.
dude. That's the.
I like going all the way into bush.
Yeah.
So it's like from the mouth of the bush to the train bridge.
Yeah, that's like
it's 9 miles.
Yeah.
So just to put that in perspective, and he's going another 2 miles past that in the bush. That's not counting the time to get from Wilson Point to the mouth of the bush.
How's the bush fish?
That is rolling.
Did you guys fish the bush last year at all?
I didn't. It's on my list for this year.
I caught 14 pounds on it in my club tournament there.
It's on my list for this year for sure. I'd like to learn the bush.
14 pounds, 13 pounds.
I don't get the Bush River, right? Because you go back, you get under the bridge, you go all the way back, but then it gets super shallow, almost like you can catch them back in there or no?
You catch them all over the place in the bush. You can catch them off the docks. You can catch them in the creeks. You can catch them off any.
It's a lot like the GP.
It's pretty. It's different.
GP is not a dock river, but
it definitely fishes different than the. It definitely fishes different than the gunpowder because there's not as much grass.
Would you go if you had to like, hey, let's go to the bush or let's go to Seneca, Saltpeter, Middle River area, Dundee, all that?
So not counting the gunpowder.
So if you're,
I'm going to the bush every time. If you're telling me below,
right?
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying.
All I was telling Denny,
not counting the gunpowder.
When we were talking to Denny, he was talking about fishing. He was talking about fishing in the bush. I've caught more 5-pounders out of the bush than any other area on Delaware Bay.
Interesting. I know the working fisherman's got some videos.
Dude, I want to have him on the show sometime, man.
Has anybody reached? I'll reach out to him if you want.
I've messaged him about it a few times. We've opened that conversation. We just haven't put a day together.
He had a video up not too long ago where he was fishing.
He's got a lot of videos on the bush.
Greg, were you rolling?
But I mean, he put up.
Were you rolling 75 through the train bridge?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just want to know if he slowed down at the train bridge because I mean, but I'm not running 75 either. I'm usually running like 55 through the train bridge.
Dude, the bush is cool, River.
Yeah, my man.
At the next Thursday night,
it's just like the one.
So it's back in the. It's in the back of the bush. It's kind of similar to the one in the gunpowder, except there is
the next Thursday nighter.
There's no 6 mile an hour zone.
The one right along 40?
No,
it's a
no. Well, so the
kind of
It's
literally the same type of bridge as what's in the gunpowder. Same exact thing.
Yeah,
the
it's just like it's just a big train bridge. It's just like
I hear
for
you.
fun. Call Greg and say I seen Scott breaking the 6 mile.
All the way till he set it down. My man.
Great.
Full send.
Greg and Scott. Look, man, I know they think they're going to win the solstice this year, but
I mean,
I don't know, man. Me and Scuba Steve are coming for that shit.
Man,
I'm coming for
the
that.
solstice is going to be on.
You don't stand a chance, Paul Batters.
Greg's
why is he fishing?
Hey, Greg,
why is he fishing?
I know where Greg's going to be fishing.
Oh! I mean, they're like swimwear.
I mean, if Lou's
We know where Chad's going to be.
if Lou's fishing, I just want to.
Where am I going?
You know.
I'm running to the SAS. You guys
To
are
the
all
forbidden
done. You guys
zone?
are done.
No.
Yes.
You're probably going through that cut through.
I'm
Let's
look,
leave it at that. Let's call it the cut through.
That's
With the
first of
circle here.
all, that's my spot.
that is Paul's spot.
Oh,
First off,
is that where you got the spot
I'll
from?
beat you there every time, so it's
I ain't going back
Not the
there.
new boat.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yes, I will.
No, you won't.
That John boat will cut straight across that.
I said not in the new
Dude,
boat.
ain't
I
nothing
said not
better.
in the new boat.
Look, ain't nothing
I'm still
better.
gonna beat you going all the way around.
Ain't nothing better than Chad
Because
on
as
a
soon as you
nighter
get
on
to that
that
6
job
mile
boat
an hour
with the
zone,
beer
you're
and
done.
the tiller handle.
I can hold
It's
30
just
all the way
yelling.
into there,
It was like,
basically.
dude,
Except
I
you're
see
running through a 6 mile an hour zone. You can't run
Dude.
through a 6 mile an hour zone.
The 6
Chad
mile, the
does?
6 mile, no, the 6 mile an hour
Yeah,
zone
he's before
to
the
the
boat.
grass flat that I want to fish is a much shorter distance than a bass boat having to come all the
Look.
way up the channel to get into that finger to get there.
Let me
Yeah,
explain.
I mean that's
something, Paul.
true. That is. I mean that is true.
I sealed that spot off anytime I wanted
Let
to.
me
last
explain
year.
something.
In the
This is
John boat.
6
And I
knot
did
boat.
not in my John
in the
boat.
John boat though.
In my
That's what
John
I'm
boat.
talking about.
In the Ranger,
Yeah.
it'll be completely different.
Yeah, that's what I'll.
In my Ranger, but you think I'm just not going to fish Johnny in the Thursdays or something?
No,
Like
no, I just figured you would
I'm
be
bound
fishing-
to a contract to one boat or something.
I
This
just figured
is a
you know
6
you
knot
knew boat.
boat,
Hey,
right?
I got news for you. You can fish whatever boat you want. It ain't gonna matter.
Why?
Your dreams are still going to shatter.
Because the Red Ranger's gonna have some new toys.
Hey, look, this
All right.
is 6 knot buoy, right? And this is
Tony.
Chad on his John boat.
We just talked about live scope.
That ain't how that goes down.
We just talked about live
with the,
scope not
with,
helping
like
you catch
this,
fish.
with the tiller motor.
What you want me to
Me
break
and
up?
Everett's like fishing, and we look over, and here comes Chad, and he's like got the beer up. He's like,
I'll break up some of that GoPro footage of you and Evan going right past me.
There's no footage of us breaking any kind of rules. The 6 knot boat
I will
was
say-
to the right of us.
During that tornado tournament last year,
Oh, we did not break no rules.
I was on plane before you passed the dock back in Foster Branch.
Yeah.
I came out
Oh
of
no,
I came out of Foster Branch going like 40 mile an hour.
no, me and Kevin, I fished it with
Just
Kevin.
right around.
We 6 knotted all the way, like we did our 6 knots all the way out because the,
Yeah,
the
there
wind
wasn't
was
any water.
blowing.
There
Yeah, we
wasn't
had
any
no
water.
water there. It was like luckily we made it out, and then I
My-
think somebody came by us, maybe like Brian Dyson, and somebody's like, "You guys need help?" Like, no, we're good. They're like, "Okay."
my 6 mile an hour zone to actually get from the buoy into that little channel or
Oh, yeah, it's not-
there
It's not
The
terrible.
secret
is
spot.
secret spot is literally
Yeah, it's not
here
fun.
to
I've
there
trolled
compared
it.
to like
I've trolled
what you
it.
have here.
I've trolled
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah,
We
somebody
could call it
stayed
pole
out in
spot.
that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm
If I
gonna
make
say
a
that.
map of the GP,
I'm way
we'll
more
call that
hesitant to
pole
run my
spot.
John boat back there now.
Look,
so.
all I'm saying
you know
is
how much shit I had
somebody
last year trying to
stayed
get
out in that tournament.
You know what it takes is like one bad
We-
hit.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not worth screwing it up.
We won.
Well,
I
it's-
won the
it's not
tornado tournament. We caught our fish in
It's not
like
worth
20
screwing
minutes.
yourself
Dude.
up.
We were back in the boat ramp.
Yeah,
You know,
you
you
were-
hit
and you know
something-
what?
You hit something,
And you were
hit
sweating the
something
whole time.
wrong
Way.
way.
Like, damn it, that motherfucker's
I mean, here's my
I
thing.
thought about going back out.
That boat is
'cause I
so
was like, man, and people like stayed out. Like people were hiding under the train bridge and stuff. Paul came in and
And then it
see,
went
we
back.
had a limit, and then he was like, "Fuck that, F that," and he launched his boat again and went back out. But we were pretty like solid on what we had. Like it was like and Kevin was not trying to go back out. He's like, "Screw that."
Yeah,
He's like, he told me, he's like, yeah,
you
we
didn't
went there.
need to.
We caught it. We
no,
caught
we
it.
didn't need to, but at the
then
time,
it-
I kind of felt like, man, we could.
He's like, I didn't care what it was. If we had a limit, we were weighing in, and it was
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, that's what he told me. He was like, "Dude, as soon as we catch one more, let's get back. This is getting crazy."
And to be just to finish the little John boat thing we were saying, that John boat is so slow that when you hit something, it like
Oh, your prop is bent the wrong way.
well, the prop is bent the wrong way, but like the motor normally just goes and the boat doesn't do anything. Like,
How
I
fast?
don't-
I mean, how fast are you going?
on my
Like,
freaking
on your
unit
GPS.
on my
Like 20?
GPS like
20,
25 to 28.
So I was doing 30 miles an hour when I smoked that log on the upper bay. I was only doing like between 30 and 35.
Yeah.
And almost, I messed Tyler up, and we were only doing like 32 miles an hour. I mean, it's
See,
just 25 miles an hour is enough to to get you hurt.
See,
Well, you're-
that's the problem.
I've hit several things at 25,
Well, on
and
the
it's
job,
never
it's different.
it's never even thrown me out of the seat.
Right.
Because
Yeah, it's different.
I always keep and the other thing is with your boats too is like those motors don't just like pop up super easily.
Right.
Like,
You-
like
so
my
you're
my
not
John
hitting
boat
as
is
hard.
literally just sitting there. Like if it hits a log, it just goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But still, it's not. That's all I'm saying. It's just not worth.
Dude, I just don't want to pay to replace the lower.
Well, if you hit something, you're good if you have insurance.
Not on that.
True.
I'm gonna insure the John boat.
Yeah, I would say I don't know.
Better watch out.
I think Evan has it on his
Better watch-
because that's how like the
better watch
fish for
fishing
bigger
tournaments
tournaments.
without
You got to have the insurance.
I
No matter
definitely
Pretty sure.
have
Pretty sure
insurance.
they say you have to have that MRS. says you have to have
The
insurance.
Ranger.
You
The
definitely have
Ranger's,
to have the insurance for fish tournaments.
the Ranger
It's
is insured
liability
for all of the
Yeah,
liability.
you're good on the Ranger. I know we talked about that. The John boat, though, it's just pay attention to that because I know the.
I tore up some.
Nobody
freaking
insures a freaking John boat. It ain't worth it.
It
Unless you
doesn't
wanna
have
fish
anything to do
derbies.
with the John boat. It has to do with the liability for the.
Well, take like Evan's boat.
I have the liability insurance.
Well, take like Evan's boat.
But they are required to make sure that you have
Right.
insurance. So if they don't, if you tell them that you have insurance because that's
You have
what's
to
on
have
on the
proof.
sheet that you
usually.
sign,
Yeah.
then and somebody gets hurt, they can be held liable.
So yeah, they want you to have the insurance. I know if you're going to fish like the Ike tournament, you got to have the insurance.
Well, he's got insurance on his Ranger, so me and him talked about insurance.
Right,
on
you got to
Ranger, so-
send in your
I know he's
information
set
that
up
you
there.
have
What's
the
up, Nick?
insurance and all. That's how
Yeah.
Trey.
What's
Trey
going on,
Swindle-
Nick Rogers?
That's how Trey Swindle got disqualified at
Yeah.
the Open for not having
Yes.
enough insurance.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
you always got to
Nick-
make sure you have enough. That's the
I
other
mean,
thing too. You got
I-
to make sure you have enough.
That is
Yeah,
the one
insurance
thing.
not
That is
enough.
the one thing I double checked on when I did go to State Farm for my insurance was to make sure that I did have enough
Did you do 300?
for the. Oh, I think like 500 or 600,000.
Oh, 300 is the.
Minimum.
Yeah, no, I
minimum
did. I did a lot more. I did more than that.
My
Yeah,
boat
my
ain't
boat.
worth. My boat's worth about 300,000.
No,
I
this
think
is-
so. I think so. It's
So
definitely.
the 300,000 is personal liability insurance. So that's
You
that's
run
to
into-
cover
if I run into your boat, maybe.
if people get that's
No,
for somebody getting hurt,
Yeah.
I'm pretty
No, but
positive.
you gotta have the insurance to fish the derbies. So.
right?
Yeah.
Which is 300,000 liability.
Yeah.
I do.
They don't care how much is on
I
your
think
boat.
Graves said 300 minimum.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
300
so
minimum. Some
Nick-
are 100 minimum,
So-
but a lot of them are 300.
Hey, I got a question for all y'all, real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And Paul's kind of already answered this. Best buzzbait ever made. If you could only pick one buzzbait ever,
The beetle spin.
The beetle spin is not a buzzbait.
Well, you really, really fast. It does the same thing.
I know you, the Booger Man, which is a good one.
No.
Do you
I
see,
wouldn't
do you
say-
see the look I'm giving you right now?
So, you want my honest answer?
And to the viewers, chime in, please.
honest
I'm
answer?
doing my
No
research.
shit.
I'll give you my answer if y'all want.
Straight King Buzztip.
I know what
Okay.
yours is.
Buzztip. Easily.
The Stray King Buzztoe.
Yep. That's my favorite. It's the
That's a
best
good
one.
one.
The
Any of
Booyah-
those buzz-
Booyah
I mean, any of those-
buzzbait
any of those
is good
buzzbaits.
too.
The Booyah Squelcher is pretty good.
Yeah.
Booyah
Uh,
does make some really
with
good
the big blade.
quality
Mine
That's the
is-
one with the big blade.
Zebek says Meps.
Meps.
Meps is OG.
My personal favorite buzzbait is Big Mouth Lures 3/8 ounce buzzbait.
That's been one of my
Nobody
favorites.
says lunker
too.
lures though.
You-
That one that I gave you.
Yeah, the one you gave me was
That
the
one's
one that I
always
casted off right in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the
Can I give you another
Calvin.
one?
I didn't get another one. I need to order more.
I've been thinking
I'll-
about this very deeply. And
I'll get
originally, I would
I
say
think I have a couple
the
more blanks. now.
squeaky dolphin, which is very rare. to
Yeah,
get.
that's what I was gonna say.
Say the Calvatron.
See, I have some Cabotrons. I don't think they're that good.
I-
They don't.
What about
to me,
the
they don't run
Booyah
great.
buzzbait?
Just the straight Booyah buzz.
You get it from Walmart for like $3. That bait is great.
Yeah, there's no problem with those.
Right.
I like I said, I like my big mouth lures. It's pretty much all I fish now is big mouth lures, spinner baits, big mouth lures, buzz baits.
I do like my my Mega Bass Jamaican boa.
Do you
I-
like the Jamaican boa?
I like the Jamaican boa.
So my problem with a lot of those is they make too much noise for what I like. I do
The
not like a
Jackal
buzz bait that
Firecracker.
the
makes,
Jamaica
That I
boa.
gave you.
Yeah,
Can't
well,
stand it.
It depends on
I
what it is.
couldn't
The
either.
Jamaica bow is just like a normal buzzbait.
The War
Is it-
Eagle.
I think I was thinking of the one.
That jack off firecracker, that thing is freaking loud.
I'm
Yeah, but
not-
it's-
it's the
it's-
loudest buzzbait
grass,
ever,
dude.
but
I
I
don't-
can't catch crap
I think
on
it's.
it.
I think it is a much
I gave
better
one to
like
Tony
muddy
to try.
water top water.
I gave
bait.
it back to you like the next day. I was
No,
like, get it out of
no,
here.
that's not how
Nick-
it happened.
Nick
I gave
Rogers.
Pretty much out.
Nick Rogers.
War
likes-
Eagle.
likes a War Eagle. War Eagles are okay.
War
I
Eagles
gave
are
it
right.
to Tony.
I'm not a War Eagle fan. I don't fish them, but they're not.
I like the War Eagle spinner baits a lot, to be honest with you.
I got the
can't stand them.
firecracker.
I will say they freaking rust
Yes.
so quickly. They rust so
That's why I
quickly,
don't
but
like
they
them.
have a
Jason
good
said
action
the
and they get
War Eagle.
bit.
I
They
gave.
get bit.
I got the firecracker, I believe, the height, and I fished it, and I fished it. I didn't catch it. I don't know about
The height's
damn,
not
it's
there
loud.
on the firecracker.
Right.
Well,
So then I
there's so
gave
much-
it to Tony. Right. So I give it to Tony. And,
Tony
and,
said it was the worst.
Yeah, at the
He was
boat
on
ramp
my-
like the next week. He's like,
Pretty
that
sure-
buzzbait you gave me is the worst buzzbait I've
Either
ever
he
fished in
was-
my life.
it's
Thanks
too
for
loud.
helping. Like,
Either
everybody's
he was-
laughing at me. I was like,
Either
I
he
wanted
was-
to see if it worked for you because it didn't work.
Either
for me.
Tony was on my boat or I was on his boat and he was fishing it, and his exact words were, "This is the worst buzzbait I've ever thrown."
That's what he told me at the dock.
Yep.
But I had gave it to you to see if that's what you were saying because I kind of felt
I
like,
didn't
oh,
like it
this
at all.
is not.
Dude, you
Oh,
hit
oh.
one blade of grass in that thing, it's over.
Yeah,
So I
it's
don't-
loud as hell.
For me, and
Yeah, when you can get it
You
to
have
run,
you have two different props that you have to get the damn thing to run.
it's too
Because it's the one
Yeah.
small prop banging into the big
Right.
prop.
Now
And
I will
it
say,
just is click, 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 click,
Well,
click.
the
If you're gonna-
Jamaican boa is kind of like that because it's got that bead.
it's got a bead. It doesn't have a
Yeah.
prop.
see, I don't like clackers on buzzbaits. I don't want a clacker on a buzzbait at all. I don't want that buzzbait to clack a single bit.
now if you're gonna
Greg
if you're gonna
just hates
fish that
buzzbaits.
if you're gonna fish that firecracker around hard cover, I'd give it another shot. But around grass, dude,
I'm done with the fire.
I don't like.
fine.
I don't like a clacker on my buzzbait.
Cowichan.
The
I think
buzzbait is a
I-
pure reaction bait.
I think the
Oh, yeah.
Pure reaction bait.
I think the
versus,
hype-
frog.
I think the hype on having the loudest buzzbait that you can possibly have is all BS.
Right.
I think it's bullcrap
That's-
too. I
I
think
agree.
the only time that I would even think that it is reasonable to pull
Super
out that
muddy water.
firecracker is that if it is dumb muddy.
I
That's
agree.
it. Other than that, keep it in the box.
so Nick says
Right.
skirt
That's
or-
what I was saying. Skirt or non-skirt.
I say non-skirt.
Depends
Me
on
too.
how if I'm fishing in grass, I'm fishing a skirt. If I'm fishing around hard cover where I need to skip it, because I will skip a buzzbait, then I'm going to throw a toad on the back
I'm
of
not
it.
I'm
gonna
pretty
lie.
much going those.
A
skirts
non-skirted
Tell me how
buzzbait
smooth
just
that
all
is.
the time.
gives that profile that is so much more natural in my opinion. Like putting a Kaya Tech on a skirtless buzzbait or something, like I
Flip
think it
reel.
just looks freaking
Mhm.
fantastic.
It may, but I've caught thousands of fish on buzzbaits,
You
Yeah,
gotta
and
you can bar that if you want
75% of them are on a skirted buzzbait.
for when you flip.
I'll try it.
And one of the
Sure.
reasons is a skirted buzzbait comes through grass better.
Shit.
The skirt just allows it to
Pick
slide
up
through
with
the grass
that. I'll
better.
let you know.
I'm going all of March. So when I get
Where,
back in
you know, like
April,
your
I'm going
Kai-Tech?
back.
that is a
So
Nick
Right
Rogers. That's a fantastic question, man. Skirted or
Yeah, for
non-skirted like that, and
I like
really,
non-skirted with a toad as well.
Yeah, honestly, I
I'm trying
don't.
to paddle tail.
The
Depends on what I'm
buzzbait,
fishing.
the buzzbait is not a bait that I actually utilize too much.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, me too.
When I do
Best
throw
bite.
them, I can definitely
What about a toad, a buzzing like in the grass, a toad?
Yes. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
come on now. We can't talk about that on here.
Okay, never mind.
Joe
Jesus Christ.
Zebeck asking about trailer hook on a buzzbait. Depends on what kind of cover I'm fishing.
I use
I
the trailer
put
hook
a
always.
trailer hook on a chatterbait,
Right.
buzzbait,
Right.
spinnerbait.
Right.
Really?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm not missing
Absolutely.
a bite.
I'm telling
There
everybody
goes
on this
strikes.
podcast that is listening right now, if you are not running a trailer hook on a chatterbait, on a spinnerbait, on a buzzbait, etc., you are losing fish. You are losing
You will
fish.
catch those short strikes.
You're losing bites.
I never throw.
You're not
What about a
losing
stinger?
bites, you're
Well,
losing
you can
fish.
use if you
I
don't
never
want to
throw.
use.
I never throw a trailer hook.
What
Yeah,
about
I
a
don't
stinger?
either, dude.
You're losing
No,
Very,
fish.
very
absolutely
no,
not.
I'm not.
Or a
Yes,
stinger?
you are.
No, I'm not.
I guarantee you are. Do you know how many
Or a
fish I
stinger
catch on those trailer hooks?
I'm
So
with
many.
you.
Okay,
fish.
But just because you caught them on the trailer hook doesn't mean you wouldn't have caught them on the other hook.
No, I've had.
if that
times-
hook is not in their mouth when I reel it in, it wouldn't have been. If that trailer hook wasn't there, they wouldn't have been there.
I've
period.
had.
Depends
I
on
had
how,
times-
it all depends on how that trailer hook got hooked in their mouth too.
No,
that-
If
if
they
it's
hit
right
it and that trailer hook kicks to the side and that hook hits them first, they're gonna get hooked on that hook.
No, No.
No.
Listen, I had.
They're not
times-
just coming up and biting that trailer hook. I promise you that the bass are not just coming up.
You
and
have never. So you're telling me you've never had a bass short strike your
There
bass
you go.
before?
Thank you.
I
Jack.
can 100% say that. I'm trying to word this correctly.
Okay,
Sorry.
while you collect your
I
thoughts.
can 100% say that a trailer hook may have been the difference between one or two fish, but changing your bait will make them eat that. They're not just if you're relying on a trailer hook to catch them on your bait.
I
you're
didn't
throwing the
say
wrong
I was
bait.
relying
I
on
kind
a
of get
trailer
what
hook
you're
to
saying.
catch
I kind of get
them.
what you're saying.
I'm straight up saying you are losing fish
All right.
if you
That
don't.
I've had times.
If it's one,
Change the
two,
bait. But if you change the bait and they eat it better, then you're not
If it's
losing them.
1, 2, or 3 fish that you lose, that could make a freaking difference.
I can count the number of fish that short strike a spinner bait for me in the last 2 years
That's
on
what I
one
put-
hand.
That's
trailer
bull
hook.
crap.
You put a trailer
One
hook on
hand.
there.
I'm calling
Put
your
a
line
trailer
on
hook
that
on
right
there.
now.
If for me, if they're short striking like consistently, I'm putting on treble hooks, and then we don't have that problem.
Exactly, Dustin. The fish I catch can fit the whole bait in their mouth.
That's not true. You have to try it.
Of course they can. Anybody that's sitting here in this room right now telling me that a big fish has never short striked a small lure of theirs is lying.
I
to
can
this
tell
camera.
you 2 years,
Thank you.
one hand. I
Thank
can count the number of short strikes on one hand.
I agree.
Buzz
I
baits-
agree with you, Paul.
Buzz
I'm
baits are
with
different.
you.
I will say I've had them short strike on
Paul,
buzz
I'm
baits.
looking forward to
I've
watching
heard-
you and Denny Brauer compete on the elites, my brother.
I have heard.
Buzz baits. The only I will say, you're right. I've definitely had fish short strike buzz baits. I don't throw a trailer hook on buzz baits because normally I'm throwing them into cover where a trailer hook's just not feasible.
I
That's
have
smooth,
heard-
isn't it, Rob?
Yeah,
Because if
you
I'm
can't-
getting
can't
hung
wait
up,
to try
if
it.
you're-
if
right,
I'm
like,
getting stuff hung up every cast,
100%.
Put it
If
on
you're
Ryan,
throwing-
put it on.
But on a spinner bait, I don't.
On a spinner
I
bait or on a
don't
chatter
miss that
bait and
many
you're
fish on
throwing
spinner
it
bait.
into thick grass, yeah, that is going to create a problem for
They
you.
say if you're getting short
Mine
strike
are
on
thick.
a buzz bait, switch to a whopper flubber.
I mean, shoot, but even
Throw
if
some
you
treble
can,
hooks out there.
What they say.
if you're running that trailer hook and you can identify that, hey, these fish are short striking this. I did catch a couple on my trailer hook, which is telling me that they may be short striking it. And then at that point, you've landed those fish and you can make adjustments to your bait to maybe change that short strike.
Let me chime
I
in real
still
quick.
think that trailer hook is a very crucial thing to utilize.
Let me chime in real quick. So there's been times that because I throw a spinner bait a lot, and I see they hit it, but I'm not catching them. Put a trailer hook on there, start catching them.
So, but if you did that same thing and versus putting a trailer hook on, you could have essentially done the same thing by changing the color of your spinner bait
True.
or changing the blades.
True.
You
But
could essentially
put
do
the
the
trailer
same
hook
thing.
on it,
Right.
started catching them too.
So a different. I'm not if they're not eating a bait good, I'm not going to continue to throw that bait.
I get your point.
That-
makes
that's
sense.
the point that I'm
makes
making.
I get your point, too.
Yeah. But if they're striking at it and they're just not getting, the short striking it, you put a trailer hook on it, still catch them. I mean, either way,
You can still make bait adjustments, but to be able to at least put a couple fish in your boat and then make those adjustments.
I always look at it like, look, I'm putting a trailer hook on there. I ain't trying to miss any fish, whether I got the right bait or not. If he's
I'm
hitting
going
it,
to
I'm trying to
trebles.
hook him.
I go to trebles. If
Well,
I feel like
there's
they're not
stinger
eating it, I
hooks,
go to a treble
A
hook
treble on what?
on the
Anything.
same style
a
of bait.
rusty
So-
old treble.
I'll throw.
I was
treble
throwing
hook
a,
on a buzz bait?
I was throwing a popping frog.
Treble
Hold on.
hook on a buzz bait.
I was throwing a popping frog in there. In
So
a
he's talking
tournament,
more like a stinger hook.
like in a
A
tournament,
stinger hook.
in a
Right.
tournament, I'm throwing a popping frog and they're hitting it, but they're not eating. So what do I put a popper on in the grass and I caught 5 fish in 7 casts. Now they all ate it horribly.
So
You
you
put
went-
a treble hook
I
on
went
a
to the-
frog?
You went
No,
to an
to
actual
a-
popper.
yes.
So you you made a bait adjustment.
Oh,
Correct.
you're saying switch
If
to a
they're
bait with
for
treble.
me, if they're short
Mhm.
striking it, I go to a bait with treble hooks. If they
Right.
swipe at it, chances of them getting hooked are way better.
Was this the Rico?
Jason, I
No,
agree.
it was
I
a
think
strike kick.
I think you get less short strikes and more of them hitting the blades instead of the bait. Instead of the
Yeah.
hook,
Hey, Jason. might
which
be right
is
on
where
that
you
one.
make your color change. Typically you can make a color change or a trailer change, and they'll eat that bait better.
I'll throw the Cliff said
I've had times where they were short striking spinner bait and switch to a chatter bait, they would eat it.
Right.
so Cliff says if not in grass, throw the trailer. I still throw the treble hook in grass.
If I'm throwing,
If I'm fishing pockets of grass,
Well,
like
low
with-
tide?
I will fish
it
it.
doesn't matter.
I will fish a trailer
In the
hook
open spots in the grass.
specifically
Sure. Yep.
one time if I'm fishing riprap with a spinner bait. I will throw a trailer because you're fishing riprap. You
You
If
have
I'm
to be
fishing
very
in-
selective with the trailer hooks
Man.
and where you're throwing. You're throwing them in cover. You're throwing them in heavy grass. It's not going to work out.
Hey,
for
you
you.
want-
See, I don't fish open water a lot. Like I can see back in the forbidden zone, like if you're fishing back there, that's more open water.
See, like,
I'm not going to be
like,
throwing.
like
you're
this
not-
spring, if I go out to Furnace Bay when the grass is still real low and I'm throwing a spinnerbait, I'm gonna put a trailer hook on there just because the grass isn't really in yet. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah.
fishing open water, but the grass isn't like there yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
That's kind of like where I'm going with that. And then you make those adjustments when your grass gets much
I guess
thicker. But
I don't have any confidence in a trailer hook. I guess.
try it. I don't know.
I just don't. I sometimes, I have them. They're on some of my baits. Like I'm fishing on Conowingo.
Okay,
If I'm fishing for smallmouth, I'll almost always throw a trailer hook for smallmouth.
I go to
Largemouth. If I'm fishing for largemouth, I always never throw a
throw a
trailer.
Cinco in the
Right.
holes.
So
You know what? You're throwing top water. You're throwing that frog, and you get blowing
Dude,
up.
follow up bait's so important. It's so important. You
Cinco.
cannot understand. I don't really care.
Follow up with the
I don't
Cinco.
care what
Oh,
it
you
is.
just drop some freaking
Yeah,
Dude,
drop the
dude,
juice.
no. It's not even
We're
that.
here to educate.
I've caught more fish following up a topwater blow up on a swim jig than a Senko.
Really?
It doesn't. I don't think it matters what goes in there. As long if you can get it in there quickly.
Same color, they say though. Same
No.
color is kind of.
Now, here's why.
I
Right?
think changing your rate of fall and your presentation in that moment
But
can make a
but
difference.
but
I don't
you're
think
throwing
so.
a white frog, and they blow up on it, and you miss it. Throwing something
Doesn't
white.
I don't think it
It's
matters.
like-
Something white.
I don't think it matters.
You
don't think color even
identified-
matters?
I follow up. I throw a white frog a lot, and my follow up bait's a black and blue Cinco.
Yeah.
Mine's a black and blue swim jig.
But the
Mine's a
black
green-
and blue
green
Cinco, what I'm
pumpkin
trying to
Cinco.
say is, I'm not trying to say the color difference. Say they blow up on a frog, they miss the frog, you follow up with a Cinco. I think why the Cinco works so great is because you identified in so much of a square foot area exactly where that fish is sitting. So you can pitch that Cinco in there and just put it right in their face.
I
And
kind
it
of
just goes like.
And it's right in their face.
right.
So they're just going to come back for it. You
But I
know
can
what
see.
mean?
kinda
I can also
think-
see Tony's. Tony's process there too. He's throwing it back in there and getting that reaction.
So the reason
Yeah.
why I like the swim jig is, especially if you're in grass, I'm throwing a little bit heavier gear. I feel more confident getting that fish in the boat with a swim jig
True.
versus a Senko.
Yeah.
True.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
for
totally.
sure. I mean, so I used to do the Senko because up until like really this year was the first year I really kind of
I just
clicked
throw.
on the
I just throw
follow-up
Cinco on a
baits.
bait caster.
I don't ever have one tied up on a
You
bait
got
caster,
Nico rig.
but the swim
40
jig as a
40 pound
follow
range.
up, you guys got to try that. It's definitely a thing.
So I think that you fish your topwater, right? You come through one of those open holes, they blow up on your frog or whatever, but they don't eat it. You throw in there with a Cinco, they think it's they injured it here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
I kind of think that.
I don't think it matters. I think that
I think anything.
that fish is in eat mode and they're gonna eat what's
right,
there.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
Yeah,
like,
as long as you can get
missed
it within
and
like
then
a couple
they-
seconds. I mean, it's got to be. You have to be very, very quick.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If you wait, I think
Oh yeah, you got to be brave.
it's the same thing as like if you see there's like a rule for like if you see fish that come up schooling and they come up and hit topwater, you have 4 seconds.
Yeah,
If you can't get it back in there within 4 seconds, you're probably not catching
you
it.
got.
You know who I tell you is-
should have cast it over there.
You know
Too
who I
late.
tell you is really good at following up on those bites? Scuba Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scuba Steve is lightning fast. Scuba Steve will get that
On his
frog
own bites or on yours?
either or.
One blows
Either
up
or,
before
dude. It
the-
doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Like he's just lightning fast. Either the frog bite or he'll get missed on like a crank or something like that. He'll know that he had one that was drafting it or
Got
something.
a lot of comments going on.
I mean, like before I know it, Steve is bending over in seconds, picking up a freaking
With his
Senko,
follow-up
and
rod.
he's following up with
Right.
that bait. And
Right.
Scuba has put so many fish in the boat with that follow up bait that it's the only reason that I'm a full on believer of it. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I've watched him do it so many times.
Yeah, I
To
do
be
a lot of
honest,
grass.
it is more. To be honest with you,
I forgot to
to
ask Denny
me.
Braueer how many spinning
To
rods
me,
he
for
used.
my fishing style, it's more important to have a spinning rod on deck just to use as a follow-up
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
presentation
especially throwing your
than it
Yeah.
is to just go pitch stuff.
especially throwing.
Oh, my
your-
spinning
Yeah.
rod is for when everything else fails.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
exactly. Rob knows.
So I don't. One, I always have a Senko on my a wacky rig. Well,
I think everybody should.
wacky rig Maxent General is always on my deck.
Everybody should.
Wherever I'm fishing on in tidal water.
Yeah.
But I only really follow up, when I'm doing like certain presentations. Like if I'm throwing a frog, if I miss a fish on like a chatterbait, I'm throwing chatterbait back in there. I'm not following up with a Senko. I can't tell you the number of times that I've missed a fish on a chatterbait and threw right back in there.
I think
Right.
Mr. Denny Brauer earlier told us when he was talking. He said there's been many times where you actually the fish is there, but you have to throw that bait past the fish's face so many
20
times before you piss it off enough for it to eat the bait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's kind of my style of what I do.
I've encountered that a lot of times, especially fishing, places like the bush, where there's a certain amount of laydowns to fish, and the fish are on the laydown.
I mean,
but you have to make 10 to 15 casts to that laydown to get a fish to bite.
That and the tide's got to be right, in my opinion.
How many guys do you?
I know where they're at. I know they're there. It's a matter of getting.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, on the Thursday nighters, we fished the same spot for a couple weeks in a row. It didn't matter what the tide was.
Yeah, but you're not.
They didn't eat the same if it was slack.
Yeah,
It was slack,
but that's
a good
like
portion
that's
of it.
kind of like
I know,
He
but
did-
it doesn't
he
mean
caught
that
him-
they ate the same.
He caught him pretty
But that's
good one day
kinda
on the
like-
flat. I mean, we had
you're
a
not back in the
tide,
creek,
and I was next to him, and I was watching him and Buck just wail on him.
but you're not back in the creek. You kind of
Man, I couldn't
guess
get a
if
fish to
open
bite.
water-
I
guess
think
if
it's
they're-
mental for me. I ignore the tide. Like I
I
know
know
where I
you
want
do.
to fish where the water's high. I know where I want to fish when it's low. So it's not exactly ignoring it,
Yeah.
but it's
I'm the
it's
same
based
way.
on water level, not what the tides if it's coming up or going down.
I'm that guy.
So, but you're telling me right now that you think fish eat the same on slack that they eat.
I don't know that they eat the same. I don't change the way I fish on a tide.
but it's definitely
if
not
I'm
the
on
same bite.
if I'm on a frog bite, I'm gonna throw it on slack tide. I'm gonna throw it on high tide. I'm gonna throw it on low tide.
Here's the
I
you're
fish,
gonna catch them better
I fish
at a
differently to
certain time.
incoming and outgoing,
Sometimes.
but I don't fish differently for slack.
Best day
I
I
just
ever-
keep doing
Best
whatever
day I
I'm
ever
doing.
had on a frog was on a flood tide.
I will say that
Two of the tournaments that we were,
That's very interesting.
dude, like the week that we
It
won, and
makes
then
sense
the
in
week
my
that we
opinion.
got second right after that
That
was
makes
on low
sense.
tide.
I think there
Low
are
tide, I can see.
fish
Flood
that eat
tide
on
is spread
every
out.
tide. And it's a matter of finding where your high tide, finding the fish that are going to eat on the high tide. That might be in a different area. That might be over here, and then over here you got a drain. So on your low tide, you want to come over here to this drain and fish this drain because that's where they're going to eat on the low
The
tide.
only
But
tides,
where on the high tide they pushed up into some up
Right,
into
they
some
definitely
reeds or something
move
like
with the
that.
tide.
the only
I think
tides,
you
that-
can catch them on any
absolutely.
tide.
Yeah.
You just
The
have
only-
to be able to.
the only
be in the
tides
right
that I
area
really
for
really
that tide.
hate. I really hate the super low and the super high.
I can
Super
take
low,
super low.
Super low is super easy.
Super
I
low,
can't
they're
stand it.
You just go to-
stacked up.
You know what?
Anywhere
I'm not a big
with
fan.
more
I'm not a
deeper
big
water
fan of super
is
low
rough.
because it's like, where do you?
Hard-
It's harder to get your boat in
Right.
places.
Right.
I just
However,
watch the grass. It's
I
just-
will say,
But
in
they
my
stack up.
opinion, it makes sense for me that you had one of your best days on a frog at a high tide because now I don't know exactly where you were fishing, but in my mind, what I'm thinking right now, as the tide comes up and you get water column over top of that grass and everything, and you separate that grass from the top of the water column and you're pulling that frog over, I think that can help generate more bites than if the grass is real mad.
I know where Tony fishes.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say?
I don't
It helps
go digging
visibility, they
around
can
in
see
his
it.
It
area.
helps with visibility.
Not me, but I'm willing to bet that there's a little bit deeper water somewhere. There's deeper pockets or something.
So we
something different is in that area.
We-
Don't say too much about your spot. There's something.
If Tony
going
doesn't
on.
know it's there, I'm not telling him it's there. But there's
Yeah, there's gotta be. That's what makes it so
Well, there-
special. Because even the laydowns on the gun, I don't want to say all this. Never mind. Forget it. Move on.
no. Well, it's laydowns in general.
in the deeper water,
certain laydowns.
and the tide gets low.
If you have more depth,
Too much juice.
if you have more depth on a laydown,
they're going to stack up.
what are they
on
going to
that
be? Are they
laydown.
going to be in 6 inches of water? Or are they going to be on this one that's in a foot and a half of water?
Right.
And it doesn't
So-
have to be a huge difference either. It could be
No.
6 inches.
It's just a little bit more water for them to be in, especially when the tide drops low.
Mhm.
They're going to stack up on those little bit of deeper spots.
Now you do.
And
know
I'm pretty
there's
sure
something in
that
there, right?
there's got to be like something. I don't
There's
go
something.
looking around your spots and checking it out to see what's going on. I stay away from it.
There's a
I do. I Google everything.
Yeah, Chad does. I see Chad fishing them every time you're not home.
Yeah, there's a drain. There's a drain in there.
Yeah, I figured it had to be something like that. You know, you won't catch me on your spot. So.
You know what the crazy thing of it is though is I've like
But again, it's like a. When I say it's
subtle.
a drain, it's about 4 inches.
Right, I was gonna say it doesn't have to be a big difference.
I mean,
There's
it's not.
something-
I mean, it is not much.
The other thing about it
there's
is,
something
too,
in there that makes
is we
it
tried to like war game it, like, oh, it's low, they're gonna be in this spot, and they would be in the opposite. Like it's just.
I know it's
so
so crazy, right? Yeah.
Like that's why I avoid. I don't
A lot
avoid
of-
the time, but that's why I don't really put a whole lot into
But
it
you got a
because
good spot, right?
Out for a spot like
out.
Yeah.
for a spot like
Way
that.
out.
So for a spot like that, like where me and you were both fishing. The reason that the area that they're in doesn't make a difference. They're not going to pull out of that spot that they're sitting in until there's not enough water for them to sit there. Why would they move?
Or no bait?
You know, if the tide comes, you know, if they're sitting in this spot, say right here, and on high tide there's 1.5 feet of water, and on low tide there's 1 foot of water, why would they move?
Right.
They're not. They're not going to move from that spot. They're sitting in that spot for a reason.
And
You know,
that's
so
why it cuts
on
the
low
slack
tide
as
they're
well.
going to sit there. And guess what they're going to do on high tide? They're just going to go like this.
Right.
And they're going to wait for the tide to come right back, you know, right back through that drain, and they're just going to feed on the fish coming out.
Yeah, my fish move in and out.
You know, it's not going to, you know, on places like in the canals, you know, in high tide they're going to push up against
Right,
the
they
bank. On
move
low
in and
tide they're
out.
going to push off the bank because there's no water. There's literally no water for them to be in.
Yes, that's enough information for one.
Everybody knows about that route. Not any juice.
I'm just saying.
You know, it's so.
Now, if you really want to know though how I feel on a low tide, the fish stack up on that little deeper structure.
Yeah, they have-
find it. The river's not very deep, so it's not like really deep spots. But a little, you know,
Little bit deeper.
couple inches deeper
Makes
here
a
and
difference.
there, they're going to stack up on that. You know.
You know, maybe 6 inches. I mean,
Right,
this,
yeah.
you know, it might be the difference between they're on this piece of wood here and this, you know, that's
Yeah.
close to the bank, or
Well, I
this piece of
prefer-
wood that's, you know, 3 feet off the bank.
That's why I prefer the outgoing tide because I feel on a flood tide, not where Tony's fishing, not
Now
out
they're
there.
well, even
but back
where,
in the creeks and back in the
Well,
rivers.
look,
but even where
I got bad news for
They
you.
spread out.
After the Thursday nighters were over, I found some stuff.
I'm
Way
not-
out.
I'm not worried.
Even,
man. I'm not worried.
like-
way up.
Way
I
out.
bet-
Way
oh.
out.
Oh no, the opposite.
It would take you the whole tournament to get there. How's that?
Somebody's gonna follow.
even
you.
the
Ever got a 90 horsepower,
Yeah.
dude? We're in.
look at me.
Paul probably knew about it 2 years ago. He just hadn't said anything.
Yeah, Paul knows. all
I,
that.
I,
Is it the spot we talked about in the truck?
there, I will say that there are probably
No.
No.
What are we?
there are very few places between Dundee and
The Joppa. Yeah.
Joppa Town that I have not fished.
Yeah. Dude, that I had.
What
I
are you
will say.
predicting for the Ike tournament?
Oh, I
20
fish. I'm fishing the
20
gun.
pounds.
It'll be
25?
June 10th. I mean,
Probably like 18 to 21, I'd say.
yeah, I would.
It's going to be
I
over
wouldn't
20
say.
pounds, obviously.
Maybe.
It's gonna be
It
a
should
tough.
be.
It's gonna be a
Last-
tough tournament.
Well, I mean, last year it was like
17,
23.
Was it?
No.
I thought it was 17.
Oh, it's like 20
No,
pounds.
we had-
Oh, shit.
No,
Won
we
the
had,
boat, too.
we had 16. We were like 25th.
Shit, me and Evan had like freaking like 12 pounds or something. We were like
But we would-
190th place or something. crap.
But if we had landed the 2 we lost, we would have been in the top 5.
Right.
Like, and they weren't even big fish. They, you know, we lost like 2 3.5 pounders. That would have gave us like 2 more pounds. Gave us like 18.
it's
Would have put us in the top.
seriously like.
But
a
the
20
winners,
plus
but the
bag.
winners had like 23 pounds. I
Who
mean, they
won
smoked
it?
them.
The Riz was like second or third place, but I forget who won it last year.
Last year, Riz won. Well,
Tom D won it the year before, I think.
No, Tom D won it 2 years. It
2
was
years
2
ago?
years ago. Because 3 years ago, Tom D won. 2 years ago, me and my buddy Mike fished it. We ended up 4th. We
I
lost.
remember you almost won it.
We lost.
I do remember that.
We
Yeah.
we missed. It was 0.7 of a pound between 4th and 1st.
Mm.
So we missed winning a boat.
It's usually 20 plus pounds.
Did you lose like a 5 pounder in the last 5 minutes too, or something stupid? That
lost
would've-
a 3.5. That would have done it. We lost 2 over 4 out on the flats. I mean, we had to fish on the win. We just-
I remember
we
I
lost-
fished
we
a
lost
a
fish.
collegiate open out of the bush, and we had 4 fish with like 15 pounds, like the right 4 fish.
and you could not get a fish.
My buddy Wyatt missed one that was every bit of 6.5 pounds. And it was like one of those 21-pound days, but it wasn't a lot of bites. And like I still have nightmares about that. If he's still watching, he's gonna comment like, "Thanks, I'd almost forgotten about that."
Yeah.
And now you just bring
We had-
the memories back.
That was the
Yeah.
that was the year that we were fourth. Were the year that their scales were jacked up.
Oh,
That's good.
So
So you
they-
really got 10.
remember when I weighed
So
in
we-
that? Remember when I
so
weighed
we
in that
only-
2-pounder that weighed 5 pounds last year?
So we,
Yeah, right.
we weighed in 17.1 on their scales. But I weighed 4 of my fish. I didn't weigh the first one that I caught because it was over 6. And I had a 4-pounder in my live well that I weighed on my Rapala scale. This other fish I had in there could have ate that fish. Like it was a giant.
Damn.
I go up to weigh it in for a lunker and they say it's 4.5 pounds.
No way.
I was like, yeah, that's not right. So I don't know how messed up their scales were for everyone. And
It was pretty legit,
theoretically,
right?
it should have been the same for every, if it was all for one person, it should have been all for everyone. But we ended up with 17.1 pounds or something like that. We had like 19 and a quarter, give or take.
It's almost time to start
Cliff.
promoting the solstice.
We already have a Bass and Beer Radio YouTube channel, and we have several videos up on there. I have a GoPro that I use to record some of my fishing journeys. Paul bought a GoPro.
I'm just a slacker.
Rob has been a YouTube guru
Riverboat
for
Rob.
years now. Riverboat Rob. Check him out on YouTube. Riverboat Rob. Can't go wrong with it. Great content. And
Paul Batters
we're-
Bass Fishing on YouTube.
and we are trying to get Ranger Ramon over here to get a GoPro here soon. I think he said in the truck on the way down to Anna that he wanted to get one.
Dude, you
so.
want one of my old ones? I got a couple if you want.
If you got some old ones, yeah, I'm all
Yeah.
in.
I think
Yeah.
I got like a Hero 6 or something that you can have.
I'm a
It's
hero.
decent. It's like 4K.
No, hell yeah, dude.
Cliff, there's only one video on mine. It's
Yeah,
pretty funny.
I'll hook you up. So you can have one of my old ones. So.
Dude, that'd be pretty awesome.
I'm working
So
on my studio at home.
we are currently working on, each member is going to have a GoPro here soon. We're going to take that content and we're going to try to crush that content together and just produce lots of short clips to produce throughout the week. Lots of fun catches, cast to catches,
I'm in.
how-to videos. We're going to be doing product reviews. Like I said just a couple seconds ago, the cast to catch videos. We're going to promote Riverboat Rob's channel for some of his journeys that he's got going on. And
I've been trying to pump out content once a week lately.
yeah,
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 I need to get on just making some. I have enough footage to make like short,
Probably
one
100
fish,
videos,
like
yeah.
one
Yeah.
fish catch for like the entire year.
we have a lot,
I've been doing a lot of lower videos lately. Some lower educational videos.
and they're fantastic videos.
Yeah, they've been good.
So we're gonna be digging a little bit more into that. We're gonna be doing some battery how-to videos here soon. I got some ionic batteries out there. Should you buy lithium batteries?
Chad's going to do a bunch
Should
of
you
swim
buy
bait
lead acid
videos.
batteries?
Bunch of swim bait videos.
Swim bait videos?
See what that
How do
is.
you wire batteries? How do you wire them in parallel? How do you wire them in series? What effects does that have? How do you size your batteries for a trolling motor?
Yeah. Learning about amp hours and amp draw from what you have hooked to them. We want to do some stuff on knots, different knots that we use because we all use different knots.
Palomar knot.
Palomar knot is the worst knot I've ever used in my life.
That's
I've
all I
tried-
use.
Crazy. It's ridiculous.
I love this shit.
That's
All
why I
use,
drink.
dude.
This is why I drink.
All I use is Palomar knot.
I have
That's
broke
it.
so many.
I don't even know another knot.
I use
Just
it for
Palomar
braid.
knot.
I have broke so many fish off with a Palomar knot.
Well, you gotta
fluorocarbon.
when you tie it, you gotta if it's upside
Doesn't matter.
down and you pull it tight, it's gonna break. You gotta make sure.
I've pulled even pulling it tight. If you put
Palomar knot.
you put a jig in my hands with a Palomar knot on it,
We
and
are
fishes
going.
it will break
Palomar
because I am
knot.
putting the screws to that bitch.
What-
Listen,
what you
we'll
go
prove
to
that. We'll prove that
Yeah,
in a
this is a
how-to
whole
video.
Another
But
show.
listen,
Yeah.
we're gonna do some other stuff too. We're gonna get into if you had to choose 3 fishing rods to been with you, what fishing rods would you bring?
I can
We're
do
gonna
that
get
right now.
we're gonna get
Three-
we're gonna
three
get into
lures.
stuff like that. We're gonna break it down.
One swim bait.
If you had to bring 3 baits with you, what baits are you bringing? What
Uh,
rod is you
Cliff,
bringing?
I've broke way too many big fish off on a Palomar knot.
I knew who was
Palomar knot.
I will
shit.
never fish that knot again.
I love the Palomar.
Palomar knot, dude.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna make all
99%
kinds
as
of-
strong as the line. The Palomar knot has been proven to be 99% as strong as the line. Swear to God.
Look, I use
99%.
look.
I think that
99%
I don't
as long
think
as the
I
line.
don't
San
think the
Diego-
knot
San Diego-
breaks. I think they slip.
No, they can't
See-
slip. How can it slip? It goes around the
And
whole thing.
now
I don't
you
know,
can try
dude.
a double
San Diego
power.
Jams.
I'm
Dude,
just
look,
here to say
put it this
right
way.
now that I've broken a bunch of
You
them
know?
too.
I don't
Every
know, I'm
single-
tired.
I used Palomar on my swim baits with 65
Ah,
pound bait.
my man Joe. You know
Every
that.
single
What do you say?
look,
I
every
use a
Oh,
double
you
line
do not.
unit.
every
double line
hook
unit
that
on
I
it.
have
What kind of bait?
has rust in the eyelet, and I still don't break off at the knot.
Dude, I use the Palomar knot all the time. Never have no issues at all. Ever.
I love the Palomar knot.
You also fish like 22-pound line on everything.
That's true.
He does. He does. He
I
does.
am a power fisherman. like 22 pound. That's light line right there.
See,
But
Scott, look,
I have broken 20-pound. I have broken knots with 20-pound line using Polymer knot. I can't.
It's an easy knot to tie.
It may work for
It's very strong.
it may work for other people, but because I've lost so many fish on it, I have zero confidence in it.
We're gonna do on.
It just-
what
we
is
need to do
the
a
what
knot
is
show.
like the basic ask fluorocarbon knot that they teach everybody?
The tri-link
You
knot.
Stick it through,
The
turn it
tri-link
6
knot, right?
times, stick
Yeah,
it through the
yeah.
bottom loop,
Yeah,
stick
the
it through the top
tri-link
loop,
knot.
pull
No,
it tight.
that's a
The
clinch
clinch
knot.
knot.
The clinch knot.
Improved clinch knot.
That is a
Improved clinch.
garbage knot.
Yes, it is.
That is a garbage knot.
Yeah, that knot's bullshit.
Do not ever use the clinch knot. Okay,
No.
I have lost hundreds of dollars in baits. Because of that stupid knot,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Clinch knot's
Look,
bullshit.
it is time to get more advanced and stop using the SpongeBob knot. okay?
Whoa, whoa,
What's the
whoa!
sponge
I
knot?
won't. So I won't use a knot.
You don't use the knot?
No,
Listen.
hold on. I won't use a knot. Speaking of that, knot, I won't use a knot that doesn't pass through. It doesn't have 2 strands passing through the eyelet.
Yeah. So speaking of
Oh,
that,
the Palomar knot.
with
does.
Which does.
with Kevin's position position. That's really ooh, it's fiery. With Kevin's permission,
You would like to show his knot?
With Kevin's position.
we're gonna release the K hole.
The K hole.
The K-hole.
Jesus Christ.
All right, it's time for
probably-
Rob to go.
Time to end the show. It is 10:30. We have been on for 2
We
long.
behaved
so,
ourselves very well.
This is just a knot that Kevin ties. And
until after hours.
He showed it to me on the boat, and it's what I've been using.
Is that what the knot's called? The K-hole?
that's
Well,
what-
he didn't
that's
have
what-
Kevin
he
invented
didn't
it.
have a
He
name.
didn't have a
for
name
it.
for it. It's
So
probably
what-
like a San Diego Jam or something.
he showed it to me. He showed it to me, and he was like, "I don't have a name for it."
You
And I
know
was
what
like-
it was?
I looked up at him and I was like, "It's the K hole." And he
Yeah.
was like, "What's a K hole?" And then I had to tell him what a K hole was.
Make a loop, pull it through, turn it down, wrap it around, back through.
Never mind, fine, Rob.
Yeah, but like you got to go through twice.
What happened?
Rob, what episode?
San Diego Jam.
Of Maryland Bass Fishing was me and you together? Do you remember that? Was it 30 or 31? I thought it was
Hold on.
30.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, I don't have
What was the
Riverboat, a
three
with
tag
Clifton-
knot? I thought a
Riverboat
blood
Rob.
knot was or a FG was a 3 tag.
FG is the best knot ever.
FG's that is specifically braid leader.
If you look, just put in Riverboat Rob.
Beauty knot is a 3 tag.
You'll find me.
San
I'm
Diego
gonna
Jam is
send him the
3 tag.
video right now.
Oh, Tony's gonna send you an episode me and him did together.
Yeah, there's I just like
Hey,
I said,
please subscribe if you can. Anybody?
I
if you
broke
have not
off-
checked out my channel.
I
please
broke off too many
check it
fish.
out.
I broke off too many fish with the polymer knot. I have. It may work for other people. I have zero confidence.
I broke
in it.
off. I broke.
And
off
if I have no
Oh.
confidence in it, I'm not gonna fish.
Dude, I have another video of me messing with wildlife that I need to send to the page.
What you? No.
What
Does
is
Messing
it
with a
involve
hawk.
farting? Does it involve farting in a hawk?
No.
That's all I
Well,
was
kind
gonna
of with a duck call.
Oh.
Not what you think. We'll get to that's the next week's.
You don't fart
review.
in it?
Hey,
Did you fart in a duck call?
No.
we'll see.
I was gonna say if you blew a duck call like that with your asshole, that's impressive.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, from you.
Other than the fact that once you think of how that would have to be done, and where he would have to stick that duck call,
Yeah, really.
right up his butthole.
We like to thank Denny Brauer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
tonight.
absolutely.
That was
that was
That
that was the for sure the highlight of my year.
Oh
That
yeah, it was the highlight of my life.
Getting to talk to Denny and just be
Awesome.
able to pick his brain for a little bit of knowledge, and I hope everyone that was listening was able to take away some of the gems that he had in there, because there were some there were some really hot pieces in there.
I'm gonna
that-
go home and watch it again. Just
Oh yeah,
to-
so am I.
to hear it again. And we got some more special guests coming up.
yes,
in
we
the near
do.
future.
Stay
so-
tuned.
We are
It's gonna be a good time.
constantly grinding, trying to find more people to come on the
You
show,
think Denny Brauer
interesting
was
people to come
surprised?
on
Wait
the
till you see
show.
what's next.
I'll tell you a couple people that I got lined up to come on the show.
No,
that I
not
haven't
yet.
Tell you
Look,
about.
you
Nick.
think Denny Brauer was a surprise? Wait till you see what happens
Is
next.
one of them Nick Rogers?
One of them is Nick Rogers.
Oh, local people.
I saw them
Nick's coming
If,
on?
I saw
Nice.
it pop up when he replied.
Oh, Nick's a hammer, dude. You might as well
I
wait
love
till he wins one of the Thursday nighters because they win
We're
all the time.
gonna have Nick Rogers come on here, and we want to I want to get down with the nitty gritty on the snakehead fishing with
Yeah.
Nick Rogers.
And is
Nick-
Tom
There
coming on
is-
with them? Or
There
just Nick?
is nobody locally, but
He is.
I mean, if there is two cats that I can think of off the top of my head to talk about snakehead fishing. If I could have them on the show at the same time, I would, and maybe we can make that happen.
Roy Boyd.
I think he's too busy selling fish for his restaurant.
Evan's buddy, what's his name?
Tom. You think of Tom?
Well, Tom. That's
Tom?
Nick.
Tom and Nick.
Tom and Nick,
No, which
the biggest, the biggest snakehead hammers
and your
in the area.
and your buddy. Your
You know
buddy.
what? And I'm going to go out and say it too. And not that Nick isn't a bass hammer, but Tom will put some people to shame in the bass fishing.
Oh,
world,
yeah.
too.
They both.
They
Just
smoked
both
people
of
on
them.
the third. They
Both
gave,
of them.
I think they were in the
I
money every
know
Thursday
that.
night.
I know that.
Yeah.
I think they fished.
know that.
I think they fished 3 and were in the money in all 3, and won 2 of them.
What's the other snakehead guy?
Well,
It's
your-
him and his dad.
Ivan.
Ivan.
Oh, yeah.
Ivan.
well, yeah.
Ivan.
What about your buddy that's been guiding? He's pretty hot on the snakehead. The one we had on the show.
Hey
one time.
Scott, you should be able
Darwin?
to.
Oh yeah,
No,
Andrew.
Andrew
yeah.
Donahue.
Andrew Donahue. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Andrew.
Dude, Andrew Donahue, we got to have him back on. Andrew
was
has
Scott.
he's
don't worry.
overworked his whole boat.
Are
again.
you reposting this? On...
This will be saved on YouTube and it will be saved on Facebook, so you can go back and
Yeah,
watch
you
it.
go back and watch
Yep.
it, Scott. If you want, I'll send you a link personally if you need me to. But Chad will probably get it posted up later tomorrow, probably.
Scott, actually YouTube and Bass and Beer Radio,
You should be good to go
and
now.
you'll find us right there.
Yeah, you can go back and watch it now, Scott. It was very good, man.
We're still live. All right, guys. Well, I think
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up for tonight.
it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
getting there. I gotta be up at like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Not me.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm good tomorrow. Finally, my work. Hey, I'm hiring. If you can fill out an application and pass a drug test, you're hired. So
Oh,
hit me
hey.
up.
And thank you for everybody that tuned in to watch Denny. We really, really appreciate it. Again, please like and share this post. Get us out there.
Watch it again.
It helps us to get some new people on in the future. And thanks again for all you guys do to help us.
I just realized
And,
all that we
good stuff.
titled it Denny Brauer edition instead of edition.
It's all good.
That's
It's the
pretty
Denny,
funny.
Denny Brauer mathematics.
That's right.
He's
But
trying
hey,
to join. We got
thanks, everybody.
Audition.
Absolutely love it. Really appreciate y'all being on. And we are going to kill it for the night.
Peace, y'all.
Hey, Dan. See you, buddy.